Welcome back to the SMITE Challenger Circuit, this time in North America, this time with the host Mifflin, this time with Trelly Relly on the desk. We're going to be watching Xibalba Storm up against the Athenian Sages, but worry not, North American SEC fans. We've got plenty of matches coming up. I'm sure we'll have the schedule on the screen very shortly for you. But I am really excited for this match in particular, Trelly, because I know there's some roster changes. Seems like every week we've got some roster changes, at least at the SEC level. But this one in particular has got some pretty heavy ones, some teams that I think a lot of people had expectations for. The Athenian Sages maybe not performing exactly to the expectations of the fans. The Xibalba Storm having stepped up recently, but also having to deal with having some subs in certain weeks and subs out others. Really could make this a high-stakes battle between both of these two teams. So if you're tuning in today, first off, Athenian Sages up against the Storm. Later on, we'll have the Hounds up against DameNWK. And if you're really curious, Wardens versus Weavers going to be on July 2nd in a couple of days. So North American SEC abound, but high stakes nonetheless. I am really excited for this one. We'll get a look at the standings. Eldritch Hounds still sitting undefeated. The Storm right behind them at 2-1. Athenian Sages, one of the favorites in North American SEC, at least coming to this phase for me, sitting at 1-2 near the bottom of the chart. It's just not exactly what I would have expected.
Yeah, it really seems like the Storm kind of just lose to the Hounds. The Hounds beat everyone, and that's been the topic of conversation since Phase 1. Still continuing here. The Sages, I think you're right to highlight. I sort of had high hopes for them. They've went into some roster changes here. They've went through quite a few because they had Shinigami coming into this, and then they kicked him for Snoopy, or replaced him. I'm not sure. Maybe he left. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the drama that happened there. But now they got Snoopy. And then, of course, Jangaru playing through the jungle has been looking very solid. But this whole the team as a whole, I feel like hasn't been able to find their identity yet in the SEC. I don't think they've been able to adhere to their own little play style. They've had some high points, but I'm not sure they've really found exactly what they want to do just yet.
And so for those of you that are curious, what are these changes they're talking about? Athenian Sages on your screen right now, not reflective of the Athenian Sages you're going to have a viewing experience of today. So, top to bottom, Slash is out. That's a permanent change. delnyy in to replace him. Briz subbed for Jangaru, switching to mid, and Dame is subbing into the jungle. This is a completely different team. All analysis that we've got on this squad in weeks previous, I think essentially valueless. This is a squad that is completely untested.
And interestingly enough, Dame did sub in for the Storm when they were up against the DameNWK, replacing Magicfeet for that set. So possibly, I don't know, what, bad blood? Like, hey, wait, you were on our team once and now you're on the enemy team. Maybe that'll come into play, or they'll just say, we don't care, we're just going to go full stop, which I assume, with the competitive mentality they have in themselves, I don't think it's going to change them up too much. But either way, playing with a different jungler and switching your jungle into mid could certainly switch up the team dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. But the team they're playing up against is Xibalba Storm, a squad formerly known as the Fun Havers. And never has there been a truer moniker for a SMITE team in the SEC or any league otherwise, because this is a team that is completely comprised of absolute animals that are only concerned with one thing and one thing only, and it's making flashy plays and having fun on the field. If you ever listen to an interview with Oceans or Magicfeet or Uzzy, hey, why'd you play that god? Well, he looked kind of fun here. Hey, why'd you make this play around the Fire Giant? I thought the fans would like it. That is generally the answers you're going to get. But in spite of it, still a team that has consistently found success, and one that has very quickly become one of my favorites to watch in the SEC.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. They're definitely one of the more fun teams to watch. They're playing different style of picks. Almost the last time you saw a highlight reel with Anubis on it. My point stands, putting Huang in the dirt, one of the highest value mid laners you can get right now. So when you're seeing things like that, definitely interesting. I got to highlight the solo lane a little bit, obviously, while Magicfeet does his thing on the jungle. Uzzy is just not adhering to the meta at all. Like, if I saw a Robin locked in and like a mitigations build, I would say someone check Uzzy's computer, make sure that's him, because I'm not buying it. Like, whenever the meta goes a certain way, I don't expect Uzzy to play that style. He plays his gods and he builds them his way, and he's not really adhering to anyone else. So I don't expect to see that. I expect to see that the Ardios, the Odins, that sort of style of play, completely different than what everyone else is doing.
Well, fortunately for Uzzy, or maybe his team by extension, Ardio's kind of in the meta right now. You can get that conduit gem rolling, get some early pressure. So wouldn't be surprised if we see the Storm prioritize that pick pretty highly for themselves. As we jump into P's and B's, we will no longer have to speculate. We can just go ahead and articulate and say exactly what's happening on the screen. Sages ban out the Erlang Shen, one of the Storm's signature picks in the jungle. We're very used to seeing Magicfeet pilot that god. The Storm going to target out the Nemesis themselves. I'm expecting to see differences in the bans compared to what we were just watching over the EU SEC. These guys play an incredibly different brand of Smite. It is just unique in its own nature. Maybe a little bit more in line to what you're seeing if you're used to watching the SPL broadcast. The bans here should be familiar. The picks, though, I'm expecting something different.
Yeah, I would say the play style, it's just night and day, right? The NA guys, they like to get after it. They're getting active looking for early ganks. It's not abnormal to see 10, 15 kill games before that Fire Giant even comes into play, whereas I believe in that last set, it was 2-0 at 22 minutes. That's not really the style that either of these teams want to play with. The Sages in first pick can certainly prioritize that jungle if need be. Dame had a pop-off game, like I said, subbing in for the Storm the other time, so could be looking to get him on something he feels confident on. And taking away Mercury and Erlang for Magicfeet, I think always going to be a smart option. Interestingly enough, the Yamoja taken away. I know Oceans has a wide variety of Guardian picks, but the Yamoja doesn't really jump out to me as a Oceans pick. It's just a strong pick in general, so I guess they're just going for more meta in that regard.
I would argue, though, of the North American SEC supports, Oceans and Privative are the only two that jump to my mind that are adept at playing the Yamoja. The other ones will do it, but it doesn't necessarily look the greatest. But when those two are playing it, it looks pretty strong for these squads. What always looks strong, though, is the Athenian Sages' first pick overall, Chernobog. That's just a whole lot of pressure across the map. Whichever lane you land him in, as long as you get him to level 5 before he eats a significant deficit, should be able to hold his own. In the late game, though, it's all about that global presence, the ability to be anywhere on the map.
Yeah, and it looks like Snoopy is getting to play that through and through. He was on, I mean, last week I'm pretty sure he was in solo, so we don't really know exactly where that's going, but I'm going to assume that Snoopy's just playing ADC, and that's going to, the Chernobog is going to go into that carry role, as the Huang going to be grabbed on the flip side, just getting Joshy on something he feels confident on. It's going to bring a lot of pressure, and early Kumbhakarna. That's interesting, because Kumbha's definitely good, and he definitely has some, you know, like good engage, good disengage, but maybe they were worried the Sages were going to lock it in, just trying to get it as quickly as possible, saying, you know what, we'll just get Oceans on this, he can play super well on it. I feel like you didn't have to grab it there, but maybe they have some information, I don't know, and they just wanted to make sure they lock that in ASAP.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a detractor from the Kumbhakarna this high overall, but to speak to your point, there are certainly some other supports that have seen a whole lot more priority at the top level of play. Things like the Khepri still standing out to me as a phenomenal lock-in, especially if you want to take your support so high up in the draft. But what Kumbhakarna brings to your team composition is consistent initiation, great CC. He's one of the few gods in the game that's going to burn your beads and then make use of the burnt beads on his own. Mez, you got to beat it, or you're letting everybody reroute you or surround you in some of these team fights. Groggy Strike, the exact same thing. Epic Uppercut, single target, but still certainly has some value in the team fight. Cthulhu rounds out the top 3 for the Storm, so a pretty strong team fight composition, whereas the Sages get Bellona and Athena for themselves. Linear initiation, something that you've been talking a whole lot about. From these two top 3s, what do you think the other sides are going to be looking to ban out in this phase? What are you worried about? How do you fill out these drafts?
I mean, you got to target the jungle. Obviously, both of them are needing a jungler, and I think the Xibalba Storm played through Magicfeet a ton, but saving his pick for the last, not going to be something they're too unfamiliar with. You know, he likes to hold on to the Bastet that usually never gets banned away. Obviously, the Erlang Shen and the Mercury got taken away very early on, but I don't think they're going to be too stressed to have these done. I've seen Magicfeet play Chalk, you know, things like that. The Chungle's not getting banned in this sort of meta, so he definitely has some picks in the back pocket. I wouldn't be surprised if they save that until 5th. And it looks like both teams, the Sages more so, are worried about ADCs, right? They took away the Xibalance and the Jing, just some safety, and then Darkest of Nights, one of the most annoying team fight ultimates you can have. It's difficult to team fight into when you can't see anything, so I think smart bans all around.
Never has there been a clearer difference between EU SEC and North American SEC. Normally in Europe, we'd have Heimdall locked in already, like first or second pick overall. Now, he makes his way all the way through, doesn't even get some bans tossed his way. Instead, it's Chiron taken for the Storm. A little bit of pseudo-global, I don't know, I'd call Centaurus long enough range. Like, long-range artillery ultimate, as well as death immunity, really makes this a difficult god to gank. High survivability, decent sustain in lane as well. Likely will be going towards that ability style of build, whereas Baba Yaga and Susano round out the draft for the Sages. How do you feel about their composition now that you've seen it top to bottom?
I do like the Baba Yaga. I think Huang and Baba Yaga are some of the highest prioritized mages in the SEC currently.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting. I was going to say the Susano is going to have a difficult time. I think you're gonna have, because you're going into a Kumbhakarna, right? And you want to get Blink, you want to get to the backline, but that Mez is just gonna always hit you if you're trying to get to the backline, and Kumbha's playing a good peel job, so that's difficult. But the Shiva, I mean, he's fallen out of favor so much. If you're not getting active early, you're essentially wasting this pick. So, I mean, Magicfeet needs to get active, right? He needs to, like, I want him to have, like, 2 ganks by 5 minutes. Like, that's the kind of style that you need to pick if you're going for the Shiva. Or just bully out the Susano, because he's going to have even less damage than you early. Just try and follow him around and make his life miserable.
So what hasn't changed for Shiva is his early game presence. He is incredibly strong, and as we jump into game, we'll be keeping our eyes on Magicfeet, hoping that he's able to make a splash in the jungle. But what has changed for Shiva is his late game presence, which was never the strongest, but has certainly only gotten weaker over time. The ultimate becomes very, very difficult to channel in some of these team fights. Doesn't matter if it does 1,000 damage over 10 seconds. ADCs do that exact same thing over the course of 2 seconds with 2 auto attacks, so you're not really allowed to channel out that ultimate fully. It becomes more so just a utility tool around these elongated fights, around objectives. So we are keeping our eyes on Magicfeet, and it is up to him to set up some early pressure. Surprised that he's gone towards Eye of the Jungle, though. I would have expected something a little bit stronger. Maybe you want Bumba so he can transform into Hammer later on, or maybe you're curious about like a Mannequins because he's already got the attack speed stem on the knockup instead. He's got Eye of the Jungle, maybe a Seer, maybe a Protector. I feel like you're only going Protector for late game presence. So what are you expecting from it?
Yeah, I definitely think he's going for that Protector of the Jungle, or I mean, this either one. It doesn't really concern me. It's just the fact that he is recognizing maybe the Bumba's Hammer. You're spamming a lot of abilities on Shiva. Don't really have too much time to weave in the auto attacks late game. You're sort of just a CC bot for your team, and you're healing. There's just not much 100-0 opportunity if you are going tanky. I think you just get a little bit of more value out of the Eye of the Jungle. That would be my guess. I still think Bumba's is better, but Magicfeet is a different style of play that he should be going for, and you know, I think he knew this going in, so he's going to try and play to that style. Looks like he is going for the Transcendence, though, as opposed to that, you know, Mace start, so a little bit less damage. It's going to take a bit longer to come online. Usually when I see that, it tells me the junglers are trying to play back, and given the style of play that Shiva should be playing, they kind of are going against each other.
Yeah, hopefully for Magicfeet, able to find a kill, get that Transcendence stacked up early, finish up that item as quickly as possible. Because you're right to bring that up. Dame, I think, would probably be the one of the two that you would expect to go towards Transcendence, when instead he is going down the Mace tree himself. So perhaps a slightly faster build than the Susano, which should help you out come mid-game. We're watching solo laners noodle fight. That's all that's going to happen on this screen, on this side of the map, for the entirety of the laning phase. I think it's completely up to junglers to get involved there. Oceans and Zen trying to return some damage. The Sages getting the better end of the poke war, but the Storm getting the better end of the actual wave clear. Magicfeet getting involved early on, looking for a bit of an invade. Even though he's at a level deficit, he's so strong as Shiva at this portion of the game that you're kind of allowed to make this style of play. Is able to take away one of the small camps there, but the majority of experience still finding its way to Dame. Blue up invade could be in the cards. Slight disadvantage to the Storm insofar as levels. XP, or HP rather, still favoring the Storm though.
Yeah, Magicfeet is getting super aggressive here, but Dame will be able to pull that buff away. And I'm pretty sure Uzzy was able to confirm that one with the Conduit Gem proc on the 2. So the Mire is going to pay fruitful, and that blue buff will go down. You know, you mentioned it, Magicfeet's level 2 there. Usually that just spends the end of a fight, right? If you're level 2 and the jungle opposition is level 3, you want to run away. Susano, not really chunking just yet. The auto attack cancels are swinging, but not too hard. So I felt confident enough to fight that one. And I think because this Conduit Gem start has come back into the meta and Uzzy has a ton more damage than you would expect, this lane could get a little bit more active. Like if it was just like the I'm going to play for late game, I'm going for Bumba's Hammer type start, or Warrior's Axe, you know, those sort of plays. Cthulhu wants to sit back and not do anything, but you get a little bit more lenience here. You have a little bit more damage under your belt as a Cthulhu with this start, so maybe some more ganks heading that way. delny's going to have to play pretty safe up until you get that Shoguns online, or even the Oni Hunter's Garb. Some magical defense to counteract that.
Yeah, and generally the answer we see to the Cthulhu is, hey, his early game's just like not very good. Let's go steal his blue buff. Let's go sit on the soul lane. But if you've got a Shiva in the jungle in conjunction with your Cthulhu, I think that might be enough strength throughout the early to offset Cthulhu's weakness. Conduit Gem notwithstanding, still incredibly powerful, at least insofar as early clear. So the Storm perhaps could have taken the Shiva just as a bridge for Uzzy. Hey, don't suffer throughout the early. Magicfeet's going to be here. We're going to make sure you're rotating into these mid to late game team fights, at least from an even state. And the Cthulhu from even, feels pretty good. Incredibly disruptive with Descent into Madness, especially with this stacking style of build, Warlock Staff in first slot. So Uzzy should have a decent time rotating in, as long as he's able to maintain his pressure and not lose out too much insofar as jungle farm. Magicfeet going for a long rotation around the dual lane. Zen tries to giddy up Privative, but an instant ultimate, Defender of Olympus, for CC immunity. Smart play. That could have very easily cost Privative his life.
Yeah, Magicfeet was on the way as well. I'm not sure if that was spotted out on the ward. Either way, just great game sense. So many supports there would just run around in circles and stall until the death comes through, or hold on to the ult until the last minute, then you try to ult out and you die anyways. So just heads up play, making sure to use that one right away and get out of danger before the danger even presented itself. The shell's still available if need be. I think Priv played that pretty well, but man, their comp, I'm already getting annoyed. I imagine how much global presence they're going to have. Just think Uzzy tries to get aggressive in lane, steps a little bit too far out, and then you got Snoopy flying in with the Nightmare, Priv flying in with the Defender of Olympus. Now it's a 3v1, and you didn't expect it. So I think the Storm are going to have to play around that pretty much the whole game, right? Anytime you're looking for a gank, can two people fly in at any given time? Yes. How much will they lose for it? Can we look to get pressure elsewhere if that happens? That sort of thing, it's always going to be on your mind.
But the Storm could decide, all right, well, there's a whole lot of global presence coming from the dual lane. Good luck using it. We're fighting in the dual lane. So there are options and opportunities for the Storm to try and mitigate some of the success of the Athenian Sages. I think having all that global presence in duo against a relatively weak solo laner in Cthulhu might mean the Storm could be forced to play around that short lane, but you're right to say that as long as a fight isn't starting in duo, could just be a numbers advantage over to the Sages. Dame thinking about making a rotation into the lane. Zen thinking about heading back to base. One of them commits to their decision, and Zen vacates the premise. So Dame rotates over, does not get a whole lot for it. Slow pace to the early game. Not something I'm used to seeing, especially from these two teams in particular. Feels like at any moment we could just have the doors of this game blown wide open. If you were playing as either Susano or Shiva in this matchup, where are you putting your presence?
Well, just now, Magicfeet finished Transcendence. Now I'm looking to get active. I would say up until that point with the Tier 2 Morningstar tree, I'm not fighting anyone. Like maybe that first blue buff as we saw, but besides that, I'm not looking to get aggressive. Now that I have Transcendence, I think you have a great option to look towards that solo lane because delnyy just has the ult and teleport, no beads. All of your CC should be reigning pretty true. However, I'm not forcing anything because the second you show face on that side of the map, Priv is on the way. Defender of Olympus, Shell, I'm not wasting that much time in a solo lane just to give up presence. So I'm waiting. I'm saying, Uzzy, poke out this Bellona. If you get her low, I'll show face. If not, I'm going to keep farming in mid, trying to steal away. And I'm following Dame everywhere, right? I win the 1v1 versus Susano currently, and I'm going to try to keep pushing that lead.
Joshy putting some good damage into Dame before the fight even starts. Blue buff invade should be attempted here by Xibalba Storm. That's the ultimate. That global presence we were talking about earlier. Defender of Olympus is good. Blink in from Dame into a knock-up, and Magicfeet is the first one to fall. Uzzy descends into madness, just trying to buy some space for his team because the damage output is not there. Joshy got routed on the way in a 1v1 up against Jangaru. No float available to the Huang, and home sweet home doing a whole lot of damage. Jangaru with the Y shape, able to take him down. 2-for-0 trade, favoring the Athenian Sages.
That's a full stack Book of Thoth. No shot that kills if he goes any other build. I mean, that was just so much damage coming from Jangaru. And again, if he's not Baba Yaga, that item is probably not stacked either. So there's so much damage coming that way. I mean, the home sweet home, if you're trading home sweet home for Dueling Dragons at this point in the game, you're winning that every single time. Just so much more DPS. You know, the Dueling Dragons, it's more for CC at the moment. The burst damage scales much later. But man, what a play by Jangaru to make sure to get not only one, but 2 kills. Magicfeet a little bit slow on the ult, wasn't able to get that one off. I think maybe if immune, the Eagles rally, and then just started dancing, could have healed up. Not available, and then into the Typhoon, they just chain stun so well. Looks like could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yikes.
But since that sweep missed, I don't think there's any more kill potential.
No CC for Magicfeet, and Uzzy really relying on that CC to line up the mire means that delnyy is able to walk himself out of there. delnyy had Eagles Rally available to him, though, so perhaps you're forcing out the ultimate, but you're probably not getting a kill regardless there. Unfortunate misstep from Magicfeet. And speaking of, you really would expect this Shiva to be the aggressor at this portion of the game, especially with how that team fight had started. Dame getting dropped to 50% before the invade even really starts up, but a good wherewithal from the Athenian Sages, delnyy in particular, with his target selection to connect with Magicfeet, line up for the Blink ultimate from Dame as well. Just phenomenal teamwork from the Athenian Sages. But even in spite of that, gold remains in favor of Xibalba Storm. Experience at certain points also starting to get over there as well. The Storm doing a good job on macro farm, just control around the map. Greater Scorpions, mid camps, all going their way. So even with the Athenian Sages getting first blood bounty and a second kill, they haven't really separated themselves.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm guessing just better last hits all around, a little bit better farm. Snoopy was forced out to back a little bit, and Zen probably just getting all of the camps around that side. And it does seem like Oceans has been making his presence known in the mid duo lane as well, but it looks like Uzzy could be in trouble.
There's the ultimate. It's again that global presence might not have been needed. Privative gets the kill, and Uzzy, as you said earlier, steps a little bit too far forward, has to worry about someone jumping into his shadow or jumping to an enemy god, and that's exactly what happens. The Athenian Sages find yet another pick. Comes early though, so Pyromancer not quite available. Not much for the Sages to continue on the right-hand side of the map. Storm showing a bit of presence yet again. Magicfeet picked out and dropped low. Has to dance his way out of this team fight. Has avoided a good deal of damage, but will he survive? Dashes are good, and a phenomenal root. Joshy with the cultivated Dow, enough to peel out for Magicfeet. Can everybody else make it out alive? Snoopy has joined the fight with his ultimate, connects a bit of CC onto Oceans, but Xibalba Storm just barely limping their way out of an engagement. And again, I have to keep iterating on this. Your Shiva is not picked to limp out of these fights,
no.
Especially at this portion of the game. 2-level deficit for Magicfeet. Dame already at level 10. Dame scales harder into the late game as well. You gotta be concerned for the Xibalba Storm's jungler.
Yeah, and this is why I don't like the Transcendence build. I think you're trying to force as much as you can at this point of the game. Like 10 minutes in, you'd like to be 2-0 yourself, not 2 levels down, you know, with a death on your hands already. Given the fact that you went Transcendence, you'd love to get that stacked up, forced into a hybrid defense item. So I think the 1v1 potential will be getting a little better. I don't know. It's just an unfortunate series of events, I would say, that you know, just not being able to find any success in these ganks, and you're overstepping a little bit. The global presence has been used so well. I think Snoopy wasted the ult there, but just showing that face, you didn't lose too much farm in lane anyway. Zen, I believe the wave was already cleared. Zen's going to get presence no matter what, because I think, you know, Chiron just a little bit better, but hold that thought. Priv's here.
InMyZen forced to use the beads. Good initiation from Priv. Immediately forces out the defensive relic from InMyZen. Reset to neutral. Zen's got Oceans nearby. If I know Oceans, and I do, he's going to try and steal this away. Blink in, epic uppercut connects with Snoopy. Satar's channeled from a range. Damage not so good. Magicfeet a little bit off the mark with his CC, but the purple buff invade is successful. You also push the minion wave in a tower, so about 1 or 2 minions of experience missed by Snoopy. Small win over to the Storm, but it was not a cheap win. You could lose out on both ultimates from the dual laners. I believe that was the blink from Magicfeet. Excuse me, I'm wrong. That's only on 30-second cooldown left. But either way, it's the blink from Oceans. Tough start for Xibalba Storm and Athenian Sages. Sure, you lost the purple, but if you think you could start a fight in the next minute or so, you're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I think they're probably just going to sit by the wayside here. Looks like Pyromancer grouped up, not for the Sages, but for the Storm. You talked about how many ults are wasted, and it doesn't look like Oceans is going to have it up for a while, but Joshy still has that Dueling Dragons if need be. Doesn't want to try and throw it down, and Magicfeet again doesn't have too much DPS. I don't imagine you're poking this one down quickly, but Dame is going to the back line.
It's a dash in from Dame. Privative right behind. That ultimate channeled from Magicfeet lasts so long. Hard to apply that CC. Uzzy dashes in, does not get into the Descent into Madness, gets dropped low much too quickly. Finally transforms and loses his life. 1-for-1 trade as of now. Jungle Force solo. Magicfeet on the retreat, and Oceans with 4 people on his heels trying to walk himself out as well. Joshy forced to use the beads defensively. The Athenian Sages still strong in this engagement. Can they stick around? InMyZen's made the rotation, and delnyy has started up the Pyromancer, realizing he's alone, won't have any help, doesn't need it though, as Jangaru gets credit for the kill on the Magicfeet. Xibalba Storm stepping out of line. Oceans, low HP this time. Certainly the fight has got to end. Xibalba Storm not got much left in the tank, neither has the Athenian Sages. And another team fight going to the Order side.
And the Storm still are up in gold, so it really didn't matter, right? I mean, if Uzzy gets into the ult there, I think that fight goes a little bit differently. He just get bursted down.
It's gotta be, right? I mean, he took so much damage before he got it off.
Yeah, if he was able to just go up into the Descent, I mean, that's the thing. It's one of those ults that you can't waste, especially when you're grouped. The 3 people are grouped around you. I'm sure he would have loved to get out or ult a little bit earlier. Either way, if that goes off, must have went a lot better. I think Zen, credit to Zen for making that rotation over just as quickly. Snoopy can quite literally teleport to the enemy gods, and Zen was able to show up and at least fire some Centaurus shots off to ward off the enemy, the opposition, if you will. So Xibalba Storm staying in this game farm-wise, but the kills have been going all the way at the Sages. Off the back of Dame, really just the defender of Olympus into the back line, just blinking, finding Magicfeet, forcing out that ult, and then just saying, oh, we'll just switch over to the Cthulhu, who cares? Well, a free kill's a free kill.
I think it's the severe lack of beads from the Storm as well. 3 blinks picked up, Oceans no beads, Magicfeet no beads, Uzzy as well. So anytime Privative can close that gap, he's connecting a taunt and it's getting major value off the back end. Small micro interaction in the last team fight. I think it's the early channeled ultimate from Magicfeet that costs Uzzy his life. Magicfeet has to do that or he's dying to the taunt, but instead, Privative holds on to the taunt, waits for Uzzy to dash in, and immediately slams him with a CC, so even if he wanted to immediately go into Descent to Madness, not really an option if you've been locked down, and he had been. So the Athenian Sages take another team fight, but as you rightfully state, Xibalba Storm still certainly in this game. First objective, I think, could be a massive difference maker. Taunt catches the dash, Magicfeet in some trouble, and removed from the map immediately. This Shiva is just not working out.
I mean, it's just occurred to me that this is Jangaru was their jungler and is playing on point with this Baba Yaga. Dame has been on point as well, and Priv off the back of Dame just squatting up as a unit have been so on point with just making sure to find these fights, taunt out it's almost CC immune. It's really close. If Magicfeet gets to that pillar, he's CC immune, but if you catch him during the dash, not going to happen. You highlighted no beats just yet, so one taunt was all it takes. They had the DPS to blow him up, despite the fact that he went into shift or shield and even more physical defense after the fact. He's just not able to live. He's 3 levels down in the jungle.
And I'm looking at the clock, 16 minutes in. I'm going to look down now. Magicfeet still stacking that Transcendence. This Shiva is really struggling to find his opportunities. 3-level deficit. You can't be an initiator for your team. You kind of forego the early pressure by going into this Transcendence build. So that portion of the game where Shiva is just really powerful, I think missed out on a bit. Xibalba Storm, yeah, it is tough. Dame now completely on the upswing. Victory lap for the jungle, essentially, in that he's going to outscale, and he's already 3 levels up. So that scaling will come very, very quickly. Athenian Sages doing a good job controlling the map. Surprised the Pyromancer doesn't fall down there after the back of that pick, but with the presence from the Storm and Uzzy nearby, Athenian Sages will not leave it up to risk. Dame, yet again, taking a good deal of damage from Joshy. So silver linings for the Storm is Joshy's just about even, only about a 1-level deficit considering the pacing of the lane. You would expect Jangaru to be a little bit further ahead. So the Huang, at least, should be able to hit some scaling power spikes. Obsidian Shard just finished up as well. Book of Thoth fully stacked. Soul Reaver done. He's a threat on the map.
Yeah, I would say the silver linings are, at the moment, Joshy's swinging and Zen is a level up. So if you can play through your carries, maybe you're going to have a good time, but I think Magicfeet's going to have some trouble trying to facilitate for his squad in the backline. You don't have too easy of an engage. You're just missing out a lot of jungle damage, right? Because Uzzy is going to be a Cthulhu no matter what. You know, a Witchblade, Breastplate, Warlock Staff Cthulhu. That's not going to change anytime soon. And I think Oceans is always going to be as annoying, just maybe get a little bit tankier. Magicfeet's the one glaring issue I'm seeing in the late game team fight. The way that he's itemized, he's not going to be doing too much. He won't be able to live that long because of it. He's just so far down levels-wise. And the heal is not going to be as useful given the fact that the Divine Ruin's already finished, but looks like we might see some chase down here.
Dame misses the pull, does connect the majority of his damage then. Early cancels the Giddy up and channels the Centaurus, winning his 1v1. Oceans makes the rotation, connects Epic Uppercut. Snoopy now on the retreat. Doesn't matter if your Shiva's behind if he's handed a clean team fight opportunity like this. Snoopy TP's in, gets some defense from Defender of Olympus, but he's still got the chase on his heels. Uzzy trying to secure this kill, does connect the knock up. It takes too much damage. In the meantime, Jangaru allowed to free cast. You can't let Baba Yaga do that. Puts Uzzy in the dirt. Magicfeet makes the rotation, but doesn't have much left in the tank. delnyy forced to use his CC immunity. Beads down now on the Athenian Sages soul laner. So it's a 2-for-1 trade. Privative would like to take some more. Magicfeet just purchased those beads and immediately loses them right afterward. Jangaru hovering nearby. The Storm, they've got the numbers advantage for now, but if Privative's allowed to initiate, could turn this fight around very quickly.
Yeah, Zen needs to hold on to that cleanser. Oceans could be in some trouble, and does. Beautiful play by the ADC of the Storm. Oceans is able to zoom on out of there after the taunt. Yeah, it's just like Uzzy has no magical defense, and Jangaru said, oh, you're going to ult? I'm just going to completely solo you because I can do that. You have not itemized this way. You've got HP. I have so much damage, it really doesn't matter. And then double physical with the Witchblade and the Breastplate. So the Cthulhu not going to be living too long in these fights. Pyromancer is going to be going down for the Sages. So this is the biggest gold lead we're going to be seeing at the moment for the Sages thus far. Almost 1,000. Given the fact that they were up, what, 5-1? You'd expect it to be a little bit more, but no, about 1,000 gold, give or take.
Call it 7-2, right? Well, that's what's on the screen right now. That's pretty impressive in its own right, but still not quite able to establish too much separation on map. Pyromancer being removed means that now the Sages can fully focus their attention towards that dual lane. We had talked about it earlier. Fights in the duo probably will favor them, as you're not allowed to use that global presence as effectively from Xibalba Storm, or from the Athenian Sages, rather. So, excuse me, got the teams mixed up. Athenian Sages, maybe you fight in the dual lane anyway, just because you've got some like pretty significant leads on the map. And that's my job. Chair 1, I'm allowed to be dumb.
Yeah, that's true. And I have the know-how to tell you they've got some pretty good engage on that side of the map. But anyway, Persephone on point with these taunts. So if that's what you're trying to do, hold that thought. It looks like the Storm are actually trying to pull a gold free. Then they decided to get off it. They push this Trebuchet in. I see no reason to try and push with it. Go towards that gold free, bait them in or something. I mean, at this point, Uzzy is getting some decent poke on a Jangaru, forcing out the dash. And it looks like the Trebuchet will go down, so the Storm aren't going to get anything from that. I really thought, given the fact that they have so much vision around this objective, that would have translated into at least a Gold Fury pull, but more so just a bait on the hook. See what they can bait out. Not going to take too much, just a little bit of poke. They have another Trebuchet in right lane. No one's going for that, so maybe that was the real bait. Someone goes to right and they'll pull gold.
And they've got great vision, Xibalba Storm, that is around the Gold Fury. Uzzy blinks forward, trying to cut off Dame. Dame's already gone all the way around. Descent into Madness channeled early this time around, as is Defender of Olympus. Dame works his way into the back line, but is completely isolated. Double pull in from Joshy has put the Athenian Sages on the back foot, so now it's all chase down from Xibalba Storm. Uzzy finally allowed a free cast in some of these fights, finds multi-man knockups, and the Athenian Sages go down 2-0 as of now. Privative trying his best to limp his way out of this engagement. Magicfeet on the chase. Oceans has got good CC lockdown. Cultivate Dow connects with Snoopy, beads off both Jangaru and Snoopy. Xibalba Storm have got 30 seconds to play with as the Athenian Sages lick their wounds. Back up, pull the Gold Fury. Trebuchet's already taken out the tower on the right-hand side. For the first time this game, 21 minutes in, clean team fight to the Storm.
Yeah, and Uzzy TP back in just to make sure they had a tank to actually tank that Gold Fury, so they're able to grab it. As you mentioned, the Trebuchet got that tower in right, so massive plays. Unfortunately for Dame, he's been having a pretty darn good game. He has no Aegis, which means every time he gets close to InMyZen, he gets hit with like 600 damage for free. Given the Heartseeker finish, this is almost a level 20 Chiron. The Susano cannot exist in the backline. You're getting out-traded. It's a 4-level deficit at the moment, so despite the fact you're up against Magicfeet, anytime you're near this Chiron, the Susano is falling. And it just seemed like he tried to engage, he was in the backline, Uzzy spotted him out, tried to cut him off, wasn't able to, but he still engaged anyways. Maybe he's feeling confident because Priv channeled the ult, and they thought that they could chase that one down. So 2 kills back for the Storm and the Gold Fury. Gold back in their favor now. And they don't have a Pyromancer for quite some time. But given where the ADCs are on the map, InMyZen is in mid at the moment. Maybe a tier 2 tower in mid to look at.
You got to do something to stop Snoopy from split pushing the opposite side. Privative connects with a double taunt onto both tanks, Oceans and Uzzy. Home sweet home. Does good damage, but maybe not enough damage to the front line of the Xibalba Storm. We're able to reset themselves to the right-hand side. Not enough pressure from the Storm, though, to stop Snoopy from doing exactly this. Tier 1 tower goes down, as does the Tier 2. The Storm are going to head back to base. With those towers down, you're not so concerned anymore about the split push. The likelihood of Snoopy going for a Phoenix is pretty low, but the likelihood of Snoopy just grouping up in mid and doing the exact same play around this Fire Giant dance, taking the mid Tier 1, Tier 2, forcing the Xibalba Storm into an uncomfortable position is pretty high. Storm regrouping themselves. Zen going to try and push out some of those left side waves. The Athenian Sages, had they seen Zen on the left side of the map, might have an opportunity to look towards the Fire Giant. He's revealed himself now, so the Athenian Sages know best case scenario for them, nobody from the Storm nearby. Worst case scenario, it's a 5 versus 4, while Zen tries to work his way across the map. Fire Giant not pulled just yet. Slow play. It's actually the Xibalba Storm in first. Blink in from Oceans, and Uzzy has already found the backline. Descent into Madness channeled early. Jangaru separated. Snoopy getting tossed by the Fire Giant, forcing Defender of Olympus early on. But it's a split engagement. We've got delnyy alone in the backline as Uzzy's working with his own front line. Magicfeet, credit for the kill on a Snoopy. Can he make it out alive? Privative says no. That's an early turnaround. Now it's up to Dame to find something, but not the case. InMyZen with a masterful shot takes him down. And yet again, in a split engagement, the Xibalba Storm come out ahead. Once they group up as 5, this composition has been working out very well for them. Jangaru and Privative, the only 2 still standing for the Athenian Sages. Got to think it's a simple reset to Fire Giant from here.
Yeah, it's a 4v2. You get Jangaru's beads down for free. Ocean's had the Sleepy Time passive, and a mage without attack speed can't kill a Kumbhakarna this late into the game. You're going to get mez, and there's no way you finish those. So the Storm do have a time to reset. It was a great teleport in from Uzzy also, just recognizing, like, hey, Zen's in the left. Maybe I have to get in there and slow this Fire Giant just in case. Snoopy gets his dash cause. Just so much bad happening for the Sages there. Still some good damage return, and you do get the pick on the Magicfeet, but I think that was a lot worse if Zen doesn't just kill Dame outright with the masterful shot after the fact. It looks like they don't really have the DPS to go for fire here, so they will just go for the Pyromancer instead. While Priv watches and maybe tries to steal with a reach. Ocean's not going to let that one slide, though.
Are you seeing this ward presence from Xibalba Storm? We saw it earlier around the Gold Fury as well, but even in the deficit, now that they've got the lead as well, it just feels like the information battle has always favored the Storm. They know exactly where the Athenian Sages are. They know where they can split up these engagements. The only ward, really, the Athenian Sages have of any value on the right-hand side of the map is in the Fire Giant pit itself. I'm looking at the pockets of the Storm. 3 sentry wards still, so that shouldn't last too much longer. The Athenian Sages need to start setting up a line of sentry wards on their way to the Fire Giant, because until they do, Xibalba Storm will be completely privy to every single step they make. But it is a return back to the neutral state. Snoopy doing exactly what Chernobog does in his own natural habitat, which is split push and eventually jump into a shadow. Someone from Xibalba Storm likely will be forced back to base to deal with that. Correct answer. Send Uzzy over. He's got the heroic teleport, so he should be able to join the fight at a moment's notice. Similar to Chernobog in that regard, thanks to the relics. So, won't be the exact same situation. Won't be losing your structures just by rote on the Xibalba Storm. But it's always been the Storm initiating these fights. I'm keeping my eyes on Oceans. He started up the last 3 engagements. I'm thinking he might just do it again.
Yeah, he's got the Blink and the Sprout ready whenever he wants to try and find some CC. If you're beadsing the sprint route, you definitely don't have them up for the Mez or the Epic Uppercut. Not too much burst to follow up the Epic Uppercut. It's more so just been CC and stalling for the rest of the team to try and get in. And given the way that Joshy's itemized, more so towards survivability. When I see Book of the Dead this early on into a build, I'm thinking he's trying to survive, and, you know, he's got a decent bit of burst, but he's not going strictly for finishing off these kills.
Yeah, so good survivability already in the kit, and now in the build as well for Joshy. Beads lost early, though. A great taunt from Privative onto a priority target has now put a target on Joshy's back. Dame's job in the next team fight, get to this Huang, make sure he's not free casting. Easier said than done when you've got InMyZen chasing you down every single time. So Privative does it on his own. Good damage, but Book of the Dead going to keep Joshy topped off. Privative forced to disengage. Dot damage, no good. Is able to make his way to base. Xibalba Storm now on the chase. Epic Uppercut is good. Snoopy now left isolated in the team fight. Double pull in from Magicfeet. Channel the dance. Put it on their grave. Xibalba Storm doing whatever they want. Dame's in the back line. Could find Joshy here, or the other way around. 2 boats pass each other in the night. Nobody sees it. Xibalba Storm come out 1 for 0.
Yeah, but just because no one saw it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. And he was there, and they decided not to try and stop that one. I guess Joshy was like, I don't have the HP to peek my head across and try and stop your back. I already used my abilities, and I'm not trying to die before the team fight happens. So another good team fight from the Storm. And that, if Masterful Shot gets saved, that's definitely a second kill towards Priv. Just 1 HP there.
Uh-oh.
Could find a kill on Uzzy, and definitely will. The Typhoon confirms that one. So Uzzy, thinking he was tankier than he was, wanted to get the ward down. You're by yourself, man. You really can't do that. Dame's got plenty of DPS, the Bumba Spear, some true damage. Heartseeker procs do a ton when you have that much HP build. The Cthulhu is going to be dead for quite some time. Notably does have the teleport available, so if the squad groups up in time, the Sages will be able to go for this Fire Giant. Not quite enhanced. You got about 2 minutes on that. Uzzy will be able to join the fight in 30 seconds, though, if they are burning it slowly. Snoopy's the last one here, so maybe not going to have enough time.
Yeah, maybe the Athenian Sages could at least try and force the engagement, have anybody from Xibalba Storm step up, check the Fire Giant. It's a pretty simple initiation from Privative. We've seen it every single time. Dash forward, taunt, rinse, repeat. Pretty easy to do that when they're walking into you. The only way to make them walk into you is to create a situation they have to walk towards. Fire Giant is pulled. Situation created. Xibalba Storm stepping up, and there's the taunt. Immediately on the Magicfeet, forced to channel his ultimate and his beads, but it is enough to get him out of here alive. Home sweet home from Jangaru, putting in some significant work. Fire clearing a path for him, and finally, Magicfeet will fall down. Oceans initiates with epic uppercut onto Jangaru, forces him out of position. Joshy pulls him back in with the dueling dragons. And now it's about the Storm working their way out of this fight. Can they do it? Joshy would need some help. He's able to get the float off, but with Snoopy so nearby, you gotta think it's a turnaround dash to commit to that kill. Privative credit for InMyZen, and Xibalba Storm now crumbling. It's a 1-for-3 trade as of now. Oceans and Uzzy in their own tier 2 tower should be able to survive.
Now you finally kill the 5-0 Baba Yaga, but the rest of the team stands tall, and it looks like Fire Giant will be getting pulled once again. Given the fact that there's no one even close, Oceans is sort of posturing this way, but Snoopy's still alive. He's got some crit chance with the fail knot, and it looks like this Fire Giant will be going down relatively free. I don't imagine they wait for Jangaru here. It'll be another 13 seconds, and there is a Kumbhakarna on the way. Looks like they might try to, though. Look at where they're positioning. They're going to run out. Yeah, they are. They're going to zone as much as they can and wait 5 seconds for the Baba Yaga to get this Fire Giant. So that will be enhanced, which is really worst case scenario for the Storm. You know, you lose a fight. It doesn't go completely one-sided, but still, you're going to lose 3 for 1 and enhance Fire Giant and Pyromancer. That's worst case scenario, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's just the right call to hold the Fire Giant for Jangaru, right? Look at the damage charts. He's at the top by a pretty significant margin. You want him in his absolute strongest state to look towards these sieges. And speaking of siege, what does the defense look for Xibalba Storm? How are they going to approach that? Where are they going to mount their defense? What are you expecting?
They have a ton of range damage with Joshy and Zen. So if they are going to sit back in this Phoenix, I imagine they have some good deterrent for just walking in and trying to take this. However, they also have some decent dive, and that is the Sages, rather. You don't want to step up to a taunt. We saw it just then. Magicfeet walks up, gets taunted, forced to beads. He goes into the ult, cannot survive. He was dancing and healing as much as he could, but Jangaru just has too much. So if Priv is on point, they can't defend. Point blank. If he's hitting a 2-man taunt, if he's hitting a 2-man taunt, like there's simply no way this Phoenix stands.
So you think the defense is under the Phoenix, and you gotta avoid Privative's taunt, and I tend to agree. Anyone he has connected with has pretty quickly fallen down immediately afterward, especially now that some of these power spikes have been hit. Jangaru finishes up Obshard, that's Fire Giant notwithstanding. Means that even some of the tankier targets on Xibalba Storm might be concerned about Privative. 4-1 split, Dame holding his own in mid, nobody lining up against him. Probably shouldn't be Magicfeet, not sure how that 1v1 would go his way. So Xibalba Storm have got a tough decision ahead of them. Are we going to send one target to defend mid? Who's it going to be? Nobody really wants to line up against Dame. Or are we going to try and commit on the other side of the map? Magicfeet does take the 1v1. Dame significantly dropped down, taking up the Fire Giant. And meanwhile, on the other side, it's an initiation. delnyy nearly avoids the dueling dragons from Joshy, but it's Oceans deep in the backline. Uzzy finally getting involved, blinks in, Descent into Madness should force back the Athenian Sages, and it's a clean disengage. As long as they survive here, you've worked through, what, every single resource from Xibalba Storm? Only thing left is Magicfeet's dance, and well, it doesn't really matter how nice your dance moves are 32 minutes into the game. You don't really get a whole lot of value from that ultimate this late.
He's got some Magicfeet, though, and that could be all they need. They
proud
have
of that?
Typhoon, and I am, but it looks like the Magicfeet is not going to be enough. So much damage going the way of Oceans.
InMyZen dropped down, credit for the kill to Dame, and now Dame with the ultimate channeled yet again gets the Aegis off of Joshy. Joshy able to return the kill onto delnyy. And Magicfeet has started up his dance. Not enough to dissuade Dame from picking up the double kill, diving deep, finishing off Joshy. It's a 3 versus 3. Ooh. Left side Phoenix has fallen down. Athenian Sages almost stopped the Xibalba Storm from getting to their own fountain. Mid Phoenix will burn quickly, given the opportunity. Drop it down to a quarter. Opportunity not quite there. Jangaru loses beads and Aegis. Uzzy behind will set up the mire. Good luck getting past that. First ability off the mark. Cthulhu done with this chase. Jangaru has made his way out. Can Snoopy and Privative do the same? Seems they're at home in this fight. Snoopy standing his ground. Jangaru gets the ultimate back and is able to take down Uzzy with the help of Snoopy. Oceans maybe separated from Magicfeet. missed the memo. They're not worried about Oceans, though. They'd rather take down this Phoenix. Athenian Sages surging forward, and Jangaru with the fadeaway takes down Magicfeet.
He didn't even look. He was so confident. That's some steez, man. He just chucked the potion, threw the one, and said, all right, I got him. Get that bird. And they're like, wait, he's 1 HP. No, he's dead. Magicfeet falls down. And now the tier 2 tower will also go. 2 birds. Jangaru is so on point. This was their jungler last week, man. I can't believe this. It's such a different skill set. Like,
it is.
Hitting mage abilities and jungle farm, like, I understand, like, if you're good at SMITE, you're good at SMITE, but not everyone could do that. Be a multi-role prodigy.
Yeah, Jangaru's got a lot of experience playing multiple roles competitively back in the console days as well, so no surprise to me that he's very capable of this pick, but you do bring up a good point. Is Jangaru at the same level of mid lane on just Baba Yaga, or is that an extended god pool? Xibalba Storm have to be thinking about that, right? Like, as you said, he was playing jungle last week. Maybe Baba Yaga is just one of his favorite picks. Storm could be thinking about tossing a ban that way. Athenian Sages is only thinking about one thing, and it's the Oni Fury. They take it down for free. Now can regroup, start to work their way over towards the Fire Giant. About 30 seconds until that one respawns. Don't imagine we see the Storm step up and defend in neutral territory. The fight didn't look great inside their Phoenix either. Enhanced Fire Giant might just be enough. So I suppose they have to step up here. But the initiation has got to be clean. I'm keeping my eyes on Magicfeet again. Blink down for 20 seconds means he can't just like blink into the back line and try and disrupt, which would be ideal for Xibalba Storm. Maybe flanking a couple priority targets could be it. Athenian Sages separated, 2 in the Fire Giant pit and 3 towards their own base, but the Xibalba Storm don't realize it until too late. Frontline has dove on their own. Priority targets, delnyy in the back line, completely left alone, separating the engagement. Uzzy has to deal with the back line of the Athenian Sages. Not quite enough HP to do that. Dropped down to a quarter, and now the Xibalba Storm on the retreat. Athenian Sages, on the other hand, they've got only one thing ahead of them, and it's the W key. Jangaru falls down to good damage from InMyZen. Oceans in the sleepy time, waiting to stand back up. Xibalba Storm doing a very good job in this team fight to elongate this match, despite getting surrounded, despite getting pincered in this trade. But what's the trade-off?
Your Titan's
your Titan's HP's dropped pretty low, and I'm not sure Uzzy can do it all on his own.
Yeah, Privative's going to get very low, though. That's another pick for the way. Snoopy's going to get caught out here, too. It looks like the Storm are just W-keying, but can he even defend the Titan? I'm not sure if
he's trying his best.
Someone help him!
Well, nobody can make it out to base because the rest of the Athenian Sages are still taking the fight. Dame falls down. delnyy trying to return a kill. Just needs a little bit more damage. InMyZen is returned. Oceans should be the target from here. No more passive available, but no chance for delnyy to chase that one out. For those of you who keep a track at the top of your screen, yes, Uzzy has been able to keep his Titan alive. Barely. And now with the rest of the Xibalba Storm grouping up with them, should actually start to get some regeneration. Left side Phoenix spawning up very shortly. Mid Phoenix coming up as well. I didn't think the Xibalba Storm had any right stepping up to a Fire Giant engagement, but they win it cleanly and extend this match.
I mean, that was a sick play, and as long as these birds get up, there's going to be no problem. However, you got to keep your eyes on the rest of the Sages. Someone could just go one tap that Phoenix and end extremely quickly. This Titan is any ability from death at this point, so gonna have to play defense. It's gonna be a risky gamble to try and defend the enhanced Fire Giant with your base this low, and you're gonna have to clear out all of these fire minions, because if any of these fights get extended just a little bit too long, you're back with a Titan with 1 HP, a bird goes down, and then anyone could sneak back and end at any given moment. So I don't envy the position the Storm are in, where they're confident they could probably win a 5v5 after that, but their base is not looking too good.
Left side Phoenix has respawned, regenerating back to half HP. Every single fire minion wave dealt with in the duo lane. Mid Phoenix already back up, only a couple more enhanced minion waves to deal with there. As long as all 3 of these birds stand for Xibalba Storm, that Titan will slowly regenerate HP. So the Storm, knowing where the minion waves are and knowing that backdoor protections are an asset to them now, with Enhanced Fire Giant not on the waist of Athenian Sages, they can step up and put up a defense around the fire. Oceans was the target. Privative dashes forward. Taunt no good. It's a reset back to neutral in a dead even game.
We actually might have ourselves one more 5v5 at the EFG. All the fire minions have been cleared out. No one's going for a backdoor. Everyone, it's just all 10 members of each team are here at this Enhanced Fire Giant. I can't believe we got to this point given how cleanly the Sages won. And given the goal disparity as well, this looks like a completely even game. The tanks are wrapping around.
It's delnyy and Snoopy the target. Oceans blinks into a knockup from the Fire Giant. Privative early channels his ultimate, but will land at half HP. He was taking a whole lot of damage from the carries of Xibalba Storm. Uzzy has to limp himself out, but does not do so. Jangaru with the dot damage takes him down. Good ultimate from Joshy, connects with Snoopy and drops him low. He has to hide inside the wall. 4-man Mez from Ocean separates this fight, but delnyy has done the same in his own backline. The Athenian Sages take this team fight cleanly, 2-4-0. Xibalba Storm still hovering nearby. Joshy still incredibly healthy, has both relics available. As long as they can slow down this Fire Giant, the Athenian Sages have not won just yet. I'm curious, do the Sages stick around, take the objective? Do they group up, try and take out some of these weakened Phoenixes, slow down the HP regen of this Titan that's already back to 60%? Fire Giant seems to be the call, and you gotta think it's gonna go for free.
Yeah, Uzzy and Oceans got to the back, but Uzzy just got absolutely shredded. Even has sold his build for a Bulwark and the Oni Hunter's Garb, just putting a lot of respect on Jangaru's damage. Whenever Home Sweet Home comes out to counter out the madness, he just gets absolutely shredded. Yeah, he was so far in the back line too, but the Baba Yaga fire does not stop chasing you for quite some time, so it's going to be quite some time before Oceans joins the fight, 13 seconds, but in the end game, that's going to be a millennia. This Phoenix will probably already be dead.
Mid-Phoenix weakened already and does not have anything to protect it. Xibalba Storm not willing to step up without their support, so the Phoenix falls down without any fight back. The Athenian Sages, again, going to go for the weakened Phoenix on the left-hand side. Again, there's no backdoor protections. They don't need to grab the wave, but it will make it a bit more simple. You don't want to tank up the Phoenix, so it is a reset back to a neutral state. Yeah, they're going to go for the wave, maybe the Primal Fury as well. Slow play from the Athenian Sages, considering that the longer you wait, the more relics Xibalba Storm gets up. Maybe you're finishing up some of these builds as well. Curious to see this slow approach from the Sages. Let's give some time for the Storm to push out the mid wave, regroup. How's this defense going to look?
I mean, we're going to have 5 minutes before it happens. I can't believe they went for the Fury there. I mean, I guess, you know, they have a lot of advantages at the moment, and they have a lot of relics that they would love to have up. If you're looking at the opposition, pretty much everything is available except for Zen's beads. But the Sages, they've got some time before their beads are up. Dame and Jangaru would love that, and Snoopy doesn't have any relics for quite some time, so probably the reason they're playing a little bit safe. They were able to get that free Phoenix in mid because 2 were still dead for quite some time, but, you know, risking that fight, given the fact that the Storm have already pushed up and made what some would call a Hail Mary style of play, looking for the fight before the fight, getting that fight, winning, and then leaving, I could see why they were playing a little bit safe and just, you know, crossing their T's, dotting their I's, that sort of thing. So now we're going to see the full group and the left side push, but notice Snoopy's not pushing up without the team. He's not saying, I'm going to walk around this corner, you know, without you guys. I'm waiting until we are all 5 grouped because I'm not going to be the reason we get picked.
Right side has got a Trebuchet working down. I thought maybe we'd see Snoopy go for a split push on his own, have him rotate to the right-hand lane, ult over if so needed. Not the case, though. It's a true 5-on-5 stack from both of these teams. Trebuchet will push on its own, but slowly. The Athenian Sages looking for their initiation. Storm don't want to take the fight in their Phoenix. They're set up inside the jungle. Anyone who steps too far forward, going to have a whole lot of blinks on them. It's Oceans in first. He connects the epic uppercut. Uzzy not allowed to channel the Descent into Madness as he's been taunted out. Privative ult Snoopy to make sure he makes it out alive. Jangaru throwing out some damage as he backpedals, is able to drop Magicfeet low. Now it's the reinitiation from the Athenian Sages. Phenomenal ultimate from Dame sets up the kill. Jangaru falls down. It's Xibalba Storm turning around the engagement. No siege attempt from the Athenian Sages. 2 dead now. And the Xibalba Storm can just reset themselves back to neutral. These initiations from Oceans are the only things keeping the Storm in it.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The Storm are winning the 5v5 team fights. Just the last time at the EFG, it just seemed like Oceans and Uzzy went to the back line, and Jangaru just shredded down Uzzy, and the fight was off. This time around, they're able to get a very clean engage, and the Storm need to push up mid. Group is 5, push up mid, and you got 45 seconds without 2 of these members. I mean, you got to look for something here. You're 42 minutes into the game. Just stalling by the wayside and letting another EFG slip through your fingers is not the play. I don't imagine this game continuously keeps going in your favor. When you have one bird down like this, when you have EFG, just one person can make the difference between ending a game or not. And it looks like finally they are grouping up and looking towards mid, looking to find some action here. They're not going to pass over any wards just yet, so I don't imagine the Sages are onto this, but since that fire wave's not being cleared, and it will now, they have to assume someone's close by.
Yeah, nobody around from the Athenian Sages. Nobody looking to get picked here. Xibalba Storm should likely be able to put some pressure into this tier 2 tower, at least keep these fire minion waves out. So I like the presence from the Storm. We're still a minute from the Enhanced Fire Giant respawning. So the Athenian Sages can try yet again to have Snoopy split push on the left side of the map, ult over if they so choose, look at the true 5-on-5 engagement. But I think the issue has been clearly identified. If the Athenian Sages can just get Oceans into combat, or just make sure that Magicfeet isn't working his way into the backline, that's how you stop these initiations, the spearhead defense of the Xibalba Storm off the back of these epic uppercuts or these 3-4-man mezzes. Easier said than done. This Kumbhakarna is just blinking in and immediately connecting with priority targets, but you've got the tools to do it. Have delnyy start hunting some of these supports. Have delnyy just be the blink blocker, if you would, and that could be it.
I definitely think you're right. They have 3 blinks for a reason. They're trying to close that gap. If you have a Scourge constantly on you, just being annoying, and you can't get to the back line, if Jangaru free cast, the fight is over, just period. The Baba Yaga does too much damage, but if you're forcing that home sweet home early, he's only allowed to hit the tanks for a little bit, and then the damage is also coming his way. I mean, when you go into that home sweet home, hold that thought, we might see the fight.
Uzzy dropped to 50% before he's even allowed to descend into madness. Privative has made this play multiple times, immediately ults back towards Dame. Masterful shot would have likely finished him off, but the defense from that Athena ultimate able to keep him alive. Oceans with his passive buys a little bit of time, but nobody able to close gap on a Snoopy means that the kill will eventually go down. So for the first time in the last 10 minutes, the Athenian Sages take the team fight and start to look at the Enhanced Fire Giant. Still strong are Xibalba Storm. Uzzy had to make his way back to base, but has teleport available. Instead, seems to me he's walking. Scratch that, has decided to teleport his way in. delnyy initiates, connects with InMyZen, is able to force both dashes from Joshy and Zen, only buying time for Snoopy to jump into their shadows. Damage output is good, but body blocks from Uzzy slightly better. The Xibalba Storm maintained their lives, is what I would have said had Dame not completely eviscerated Uzzy on his own. Throws out the ultimate too, but it will not connect. The Athenian Sages, if the fight's in the Fire Giant pit, it's going their way.
Magicfeet was hiding this whole time, and I don't think the Sages spot onto that. He doesn't have too much damage, but maybe just enough disruption to try and steal his Enhanced Fire Giant as Dame spots him out so early on.
Dame connects some good damage and is able to dissuade Magicfeet from continuing his push in towards the Fire Giant. So Enhanced Fire yet again to the Athenian Sages. Xibalba Storm certainly now, 50 minutes into the game, no stranger to this situation. We've seen base defense after base defense, but this time it is going to be a much taller task. 30 seconds left on Uzzy's respawn. Magicfeet hasn't reset himself just yet either. Athenian Sages can work their way into the only non-weakened bird of Xibalba Storm and start up their siege. Dueling Dragons channeled by Joshy connects a bit of damage onto Jangaru and delnyy, who are now separated. Oceans in the backline has put a whole lot of damage into Jangaru. Home sweet home channel defensively means you won't have that for the siege itself, but it's Magicfeet yet again. Shiva, weak in the late game, starts dancing, immediately falls down. Double taunt from Privative on a priority targets. Both carries of the Xibalba Storm forced to reset themselves. Right side Phoenix will eventually fall. Uzzy makes the respawn, but simply trades places with Magicfeet. Only one member, it seems like, at all times in the Storm has to be on that CDR, has to be in the grayscale. And for the next minute, it's going to be Magicfeet.
Yeah, the right side of the map has been so rough for the Storm. You know, Uzzy's 1-7 right now, has been doing his job and peeling for his team pretty well and trying to get to the backline as much as you can. Magicfeet, just a useless character in this point of the game, and they're trying to pick Dame instead of defend that mid Phoenix. Oceans get the beads, but that mid Phoenix is gone.
Uzzy channels Descent into Madness alone, which means he won't find any value. Sure, you got a whole lot of CC, but if there's no damage behind it, nobody will care. So the next team fight will be without this Cthulhu ultimate. Massive tool loss. Mid Phoenix gone, left side Phoenix gone as well. The Storm, if they want to defend, there's only one place to defend now, and it's in the Titan room. I'm thinking if the Athenian Sages are allowed in there, they probably just kill it.
Yeah, I feel like Jangaru ult is going to do like half, and then the rest of the team could like auto it once, and that would be game. So probably trying to see Xibalba Yaga is the name of the game here. Dame's been getting to the backline pretty consistently, has been picking up the red buff, just saying like, don't worry guys, I got this, like stand back sort of deal. And there needs to be a target on the Susano. I just think the way that the Shiva has itemized, you're not tanky and you don't do damage, unfortunately. You get procs for Glacier.
Well, what's he do then?
You get procs for not much. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're this deep into the game. Unfortunately, Shiva has missed that point of value. As you mentioned, very early on. He was down 3 levels in the jungle. Once again, the Storm are going to group as 4, not 5, because Magicfeet is defending fire minions. If they get a pick here, sure, they could maybe try to run through one of these tier 2s and end the game. But look at the Sages, man. They're grouped as 5. They're not letting any of that happen.
They're thinking to themselves, why are these minion waves making it so far to the Storm side of the map? Surely they're hiding in the jungle somewhere. So single file line from the Athenian Sages as they start to work their
Where
way
are they setting that up at?
down the center.
At the red buff? They're not even at red, though.
They know now. All right,
Yeah.
they know now. Magicfeet's seen them, so everybody from the Storm headed back to base. I suppose just concerned that maybe the Athenian Sages would start pushing down the left-hand side of the map. Not the case. So the Xibalba Storm, in their ambush, missed their opportunity, and now have to defend in the Titan room. Not going to be an easy task.
No, there's just so much damage coming their way. Someone has to get in and tank. Ocean is not going to let that happen, though. He blinks in.
Oceans blinks in, but is taunted off. Uzzy finally allowed to channel that Descent into Madness while he's still healthy. Dame ultimate, not so good this time around. Xibalba Storm sustaining a whole lot in this fight. Oceans creating a whole lot of space, but delnyy has done the same for the Sages, keeping the carries at bay. Now joined by Privative in the backline. A taunt could be massive. Joshy forced to use the beads. Dame connects his damage, sending the Storm back to their fountain. Meanwhile, the Titan has taken significant damage. It is burning quickly. The Storm need to buy some time, need to buy some space, but none will come. The Titan falls down 49.5 minutes into this game. Game 1 to the Sages.
It still looked like the Storm had a decent fight back there, but with 3 birds down, fire minions coming in from all sides, they couldn't find a solid pick at the start. And then at that point, you're tight. You can't defend it. There's just way too much damage to the opposition. So I think it was all in the draft. If you don't put yourself on a timer by picking a character like Shiva, maybe that late game goes a little bit better. The Storm, they look decent, but man, the Sages were on point. Jangaru on that Baba Yaga was doing way too much damage. It just didn't seem like Shiva could deal with that.
Well, we'll break down the rest of this game right after this break.
win? What did it win?
You win the respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good, pretty good.
But he had the horsey, and horsey, don't you stop! Fido care! Fido king!
I gave up dabbing for Lynn.
Cool. No more dabbing for Final. He looked at me and said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to become a world champion.
Ripping through! Titan! Down, ball three! A double kill myself!
Apologies for the slight delay, Smite fans. There was like a rabid dog that ran through here, and I didn't want to cast while that was happening, so we dealt with it. But what we do have for you here is a breakdown of what exactly happened in Game 1. And there is plenty of Game 1 to break down, 50 entire minutes of it, to be sure. You had said towards the tail end of that cast that maybe it was a bit of draft diff. You were worried about that Shiva. Do you think it was just the Shiva that needs to change for the Storm, or are there larger issues at bay?
Well, my main issue with that draft was the fact that Shiva could not get to Baba Yaga, and if you can't get to Baba Yaga, she gets the free cast, and that, like watch Dame. See, this is good jungle gameplay. You can get to the back line, you can kill, and that's not what Shiva does. He's more of a CC. And hopefully, you know, if you get to that late game portion of the game where you can just do things like this, there was none of that from Shiva. And I just think it's the pick in my mind, right? It's just not a good jungler anymore. His early game is a bit nerfed, and his late game is about the same. So I think if Magicfeet's on a different character, the game's completely different. I'm not going to say they'll win, but it would certainly look better than that.
Yeah, a lot of fight back from the Storm, despite the Athenian Sages winning out on every single team fight early on. Rewind yourself 40 entire minutes, and you'll remember the Athenian Sages at 1 point 5-0, gold still even. 7-2, gold still even. Now look at the top of your screen now. Athenian Sages 6-2, gold behind, actually, favoring the Storm. So had they had a jungler that weren't so far behind, maybe they could have leveraged a bit of that early game lead that they were able to establish just through neutral farm, fade away from Jangaru, knowing that his damage is going to connect regardless. The Athenian Sages show great wherewithal throughout the entirety of that match. It is so difficult to stay locked in for an entire uninterrupted nearly hour of Smite play, but Jangaru puts up a 9-3-8 slash line. You've got the nearly perfect 4-2-10 from Privative. The initiations from this Athena were so hard to deal with. Not only initiation, but counter-initiation. If he wasn't starting the fight, he was waiting for a blink from Oceans, you're taunted. He was waiting for a blink from Uzzy, you're taunted. Don't descend to madness. Don't yawn. You can't do it. Not if Privative's nearby. Just clean play from the Sages in the team fight. and maybe even some clean play from the Storm as well. With how close that game was, I wouldn't be surprised if we go to 3.
Yeah, I could definitely see it, and I was gonna give Magicfeet some credit if he did if he did half of Jangaru's damage. That was gonna be my benchmark. I saw 70,000 from Baba Yaga.
Yep,
if I
that's
saw
good.
half from the Shiva, I would say okay, that was a decent pick, and he didn't. So
How much did he do?
31,000.
Well, he's close.
Close, not close enough.
Okay.
Dame did 40,000 on a late game Susano. So there's your benchmark. Stop picking Shiva. He was in my chat last night, man, and I told him, I was like, why aren't you picking hard carries? And he was just like, sometimes we try different things.
I'm a facilitator. He's a facilitator.
No, he's a hard carry, and he needs to play as such. I'm putting my foot down. Pick some bands.
Thank you. Picks and Bans started up, and if analyst Trelly gets his way, no more Shiva in Smite. Full stop. You seemed like maybe you had some personal skin in the game there.
Well, I'm down to see Shiva solo. I just don't think
You really think so? I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, why not?
Well, Shiva solo. Well, you're the analyst. You should know why not.
But okay.
It's like not very good.
How would you know that? You're share 1.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you don't know what's good, man.
You're right, man. I can't wait to see some Shiva in the soul lane. Oh my God. Is this how it feels to be on the other side?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just gotta agree. All right.
Anyways, look at these bands.
I will.
Still 2 hard carry bands are along. I'm not gonna say are along the hard carry, but the Mercury typical. Taking away the Nemesis is probably a smart ban, and the Chernobog is the only adaptation. Oh, and the Athena. The Athena and the Chernobog shutting down some of that global presence for the Sages. They're not gonna be able to run that back. However, the Ravana is going to be picked, which is one of those things that I never really want to see just because of how much annoyance I know it could bring. I'm going to hold it in the solo lane. Every time I say that, it always goes to the solo lane. So I'm still going to assume it's in the solo, but still does have some adaptation to the jungle.
Until that mitigation build gets changed, I don't think we're going to see Ravana anywhere else.
Right.
Soul Lane Ravana just going towards that Warding Sigil, or if you're Haddox, the Death Toll, or if you're somebody else, Soul Eater Rush, Deathwalker. This god is adaptable in solo, has good presence, incredible survivability. You can leave him alone on an island, or you can have someone rotate over, and he's got decent gap close follow-up to make sure those kills are landing. So no surprise to see Ravana locked in. What I am surprised to see is Xibalance prioritized this highly.
Yeah, I think it was banned away last time, so I'm pretty sure they just don't want to deal with the ultimate. It's global, right? I mean, it's not going to bring Xbalanque to you, but what it will do is turn off the lights and turn off your team fight. So even if you're not, seeing the Xbalanque's presence, feeling his damage, you definitely know he's there because you can't see anything in the middle of your team fight. So that sort of presence is just something they didn't want to deal with. Last game, this time, they prioritized that Chernobog ban, and the Xbalanque squeaked his way through. They did grab the Fenrir, however, which is another one of those picks that you expect to get online early, and you want to get active early. Some pretty decent targets for looking for that Ragnarok with the Xibalance and the Khepri, pretty much forced into getting beads. Obviously, the Xibalance was going to, but you're forcing the Khepri into beads, or Priv's going to have to play out of his mind, just like so far back, and also making sure he's useful with Scarab's Blessing.
How do you feel about Fenrir's kind of power scaling? I know you said he's pretty strong early, and you do expect him to have a good early game. Does he fall off as hard as Shiva? What kind of build are we trying to associate with this pick? Is he a full-on assassin? Are we going bruiser? Like, where's Fenrir at right now?
Well, I will tell you, because
Please.
I know you don't know because of where you're sitting. So, Fenrir, at the moment, is building Golden Blade and Bumba's Hammer. Like if you're building anything else, I don't think you're playing Fenrir correctly.
Take over
just
this land.
Bumba's Hammer, Golden Blade, get online early, and then translate that to the late game team fight. That's what you're trying to do. And I think that he doesn't really fall off. He doesn't fall off like Shiva. Your early strong, and your late game is also strong if you can make use of Bumba's Hammer.
Yeah, I agree, man. Every time anybody can pick up Bumba's Hammer, I feel like they're probably at home in the meta, right? Just having additional true damage off your auto cancels, a lot of sustained percentage HP back on every single auto post ability. It is just so powerful, and Fenrir being that initiation tool for his team is versatile, especially in conjunction with Kumbhakarna. The conversation around DameNWK and Fenrir is, hey, is there enough CC that I'm going to be allowed to Ragnarok somebody? Because if there isn't, I'm just burning beads, and I'm burning one guy's beads because it's a single target ultimate. Kumbhakarna, I think, brings enough CC on his own. We saw the Blink Mezes, the Blink Epic Uppercuts. There should be threat on beads, and now with Amaterasu as well, my concerns around this Fenrir being able to connect that ultimate are completely alleviated. Having seen now both of these drafts top to bottom, do you have any favor towards one or the other?
I mean, I'm just worried that if Jangaru is that sick on the Baba Yaga, you touched on it, as he was playing jungle last week, does he have a Persephone? If he does, we're going to need to see a lot of presence on that mid lane, or else we're going to see the same sort of damage numbers coming out from this Persephone as well.
So we want to see some more presence, specifically from the jungler of Xibalba Storm. We'll see whether or not he's able to do that as we jump into Game 2. Xibalba Storm trying to keep this set alive. A win here moves us on to a Game 3. A win for the Sages moves us on to the next set. So, as we see, every role about landing where we had expected. Osiris in the jungle, Ravana playing in the solo, Uzzy playing the Amaterasu. No shift-ups here from either side. But with both teams having such strong early game tools, do you think one needs to get involved a little bit more early than the other?
Well, I would say that the Osiris Dame's got Mannequin Scepter, so I think his 1v1 potential on anyone right now is extremely strong. Wanting to go off of that before Magicfeet hits level 5 could be an option, given the fact that Dame went into the blink, so it could be a target for the Ragnaroks in the future. I just assume you want to get active that second blue buff spawn. That's where I'm expecting to see some sparks fly here. You just have a lot of damage. Ravana and Osiris are probably going to be winning that 1v1 if Uzzy and Magicfeet aren't like completely just there first. Like if you're showing presence at that buff, I don't see them fighting that. But, you know, also, Robin's build doesn't come online for quite some time. delny's forced into the Sigil and the Soul Eater style of build, which is going to get out-pressured early. It really just depends on how you're managing your HP and your potions, things like that, before that buff spawns in.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it is no HP chalice for either one of these Soul Laners, standard HP pot, so every bit of poke is pretty significant in this lane. It's going to be a little while, as you said, until Denny's allowed to start getting some of that ability lifesteal from Soul Eater. Does seem to me that he will be going down that mitigation path as the game goes on. But equally surprising is Uzzy going towards the shield in first slot. Generally, when we see Amaterasu or these auto attackers, it's Golden Blade. What do you think he's trying to move in towards so quickly?
I mean, for such a long time, it was the Berserker Shield, and even Uzzy was building the Berserker Shield at one point, but Glad Shield is the new hotness. I mean, if you're not building Glad Shield, you're missing on a lot of value. Alma doesn't proc it that well, you know, only just getting the 2 and the 3, so I still think it's going to be the Berserker Shield, but if you're missing out on a lot of extra damage and just free CDR, things like that if you're not going into the Glad Shield. Either one is a possibility, but given the fact that Alma doesn't get that much value, Uzzy's got to be going Berserker.
Yeah, I agree. Surprised that the Soul Lane's been as action-packed as it has been. I was expecting Uzzy to really get the better end of these 1v1s, to really get the superior pressure, but delnyy holding his own and even winning in these trades. So neither jungler getting active just yet, but with Blink on Dame and Beads on Magicfeet, you got to think Dame's looking for his opportunity. Where are you sending this Osiris?
I'm sending him to the solo lane right when that blue buff spawns, and given where Dame is at the moment, that's exactly where he's headed. Now, he's not going for his own blue buff. He's running right for Uzzy's blue buff. Remember, we talked about their HP, as Ocean's HP is getting extremely low.
Ocean's channeling the Groggy Strike. Privative may not have the Abduct up just yet, but the poke damage has been good from Snoopy. Good output there. Blue buff invade successful. Dame picks it up, actually. So CDR for the Osiris as of now in a 1v3. Tether putting in a whole lot of work to get him out of there. Good slow from delnyy, buys some time, but only lines them up for the double stun. Dame, additional movement speed from the second ability. Blinks out. What's the chase? Magicfeet does not have Blink himself. Maybe a leap into Brutalize could secure the kill. It's dangerous. He commits for it and nearly falls down. It's a blue buff invade that goes well. A purple buff invade that similarly goes well for the Athenian Sages.
If Joshy has Conduit Gem, that gank goes, and he gets the kill. But he went the sands of time. He's not on the new wave yet. Jangaru's got Conduit Gem.
Conduit Gem's so good.
That's what I'm saying. If he's on the new wave Conduit Gem build, maybe that kill goes through. Unfortunately, I just think, again, the Mannequin Scepter Osiris just gets that buff for free, has so much more presence, and Magicfeet's only level 2. A lot of things went into that gank being the way it was. Good positioning by Dame not to touch anyone after the fact so he could blink out, stay out of combat. And now it's going to be a hard jungle back in, right? Like Magicfeet just hit level 3. A lot of his camps are going down. Uzzy is going to be behind in this lane, a full level at the moment, and Ann has to trek all the way back to base because doesn't have a teleport. So are you going to try and play off your solo laner? Robin's pretty ungankable at the moment with the beads, with the overhead kick, and Mystic Rush. So it's just going to be a hard-fought battle. This whole set has been hard for the right side of the map. Magicfeet and Uzzy got off to not a great start last time, and looking pretty similar this time around.
Yeah, 2-level deficit in the jungle and 1 level in the soul lane. So Dame is at least able to drop his speed buff, but will not be able to pick it up himself. Blue still around his belt. CDR doesn't feel awful in the jungle, but moving faster feels a whole lot better. So unfortunate for Dame, who was CC'd. I believe it was the Unchained from Magicfeet that keeps him locked down and forces him to take the blue buff for himself. I'm keeping my eyes on Magicfeet. We know that Fenrir is a pick that he's had a lot of success on in the past. Not a great start in Game 1, not a great start to Game 2, but still certainly capable of getting involved. Blue buff got to be the place he's looking towards. delnyy would have loved to have gotten active.
Yeah, he was getting so active
Yeah,
for
but
a second.
didn't really get a whole lot for it.
Yeah, he really wanted that blue buff. Unfortunate. Uzzy pulled that right as it was up, and a little bit late was Dame the party. I believe delnyy was waiting for Dame, and then Mystic Rush a little bit off the mark. So, at the very least, I think Magicfeet got credit for the buff as well. He got to share that one, so a little closer level 5, and actually Will took over level 5. So Ragnarok is available. I touched on during picks and bans the fact that Priv was forced into beads, and Priv will get those beads. So I don't imagine any free kills coming the way of Xibalba Storm in the duo lane. But Snoopy dashes pretty early here. Scarab's Blessing is available, so not too worried about this one.
Magicfeet still hovering nearby. He's got a decent target in Dame. If you can connect the stun first, you probably won't get Lord of the Afterlife up just to immune the Ragnarok. It's a blink in from Oceans, 3-man Mez, but Dame's taking his 1v1 up against Magicfeet, who has yet to get involved. This Fenrir being zoned off could be the difference maker. Jump in, Brutalize is good. Jangaru dropped low. Chomp off the mark, actually switches targets, picks up Snoopy, but only puts himself out of position. Magicfeet falls down. That's first blood over to the Athenian Sages, who can now continue their fight. Joshy getting involved, Snoopy now out of position. Chase is there, Uzzy on tour has made his way all the way across the map, and it's InMyZen who gets credit on return. So Xibalba Storm in the 1-for-1 trade, still playing at a pretty massive deficit. We had seen in Game 1, it was the Athenian Sages who were very ahead in kills, but behind in gold. Seems they've righted the ship, so to speak. Gold solidly in favor of the order side.
Yeah, this is just not worth it. Uzzy rotating over this early. Even if he gets credit for that kill, delnyy got so much. Was able to steal away
He needs a couple more kills.
Was able to steal away all the farm. Now is level 8 to Uzzy's level 6. It's just not a trade you want to take, right? Just let your team win or lose that, but don't let all of your jungle get invaded. Maybe Uzzy thought he couldn't even contest that farm, given the fact that this Ravana is just too far ahead. So if that's the case, then I suppose you helped out your team in that instance. And if you get 2 kills there, maybe I'm saying worth, right? If you get 2 kills, I'm saying great rotation, but given the fact that not much netted from it, and I think the kill would have went through either way, a little bit unfortunate. Now Uzzy's going to have an even rougher time in that lane.
Yeah, maybe had Uzzy even gotten the kill for himself, the deficit wouldn't have established so heavily in the soul lane, but because he makes the rotation all the way across the map, doesn't teleport, doesn't have teleport, has beads in that first slot. So really was a slow rotation, slow way back towards his own lane, and delnyy was already getting the better end of that 1v1, will probably continue to do so now. Soul Eater nearly stacked up. Both teams just biding their time. Are you expecting to see the Athenian Sages get active around this Pyromancer? I think I am, just because of this Mannequin Scepter, but yeah, and with a lead for delnyy, yeah, I'm talking myself into it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, they definitely could, as long as delnyy keeps that presence up in lane. Given that the gold differential, it's only about 300 this early on with no kills. That's still pretty massive, so you gotta make sure you're watching out for this Ravana early on. I don't think that Joshy wants to take a trade up against delnyy at the moment, so you have to look at the Pyromancer, where it is and where everyone else is at the moment. It spawns in about 2 minutes. Is this Tiamat close enough to try and defend? And if he does, do you just want the kill? Is the kill just more worth than that Pyromancer? I'm keeping my eyes on the mid laner, just seeing who steps up. But if they keep playing through the solo lane, he's still ahead. So yeah, they could go for it.
So the Athenian Sages maybe a slight opportunity to look towards that Pyromancer, but with the game resetting itself back to neutral yet again, the Xibalba Storm have closed up that gold gap. It was, what, nearly 1,500 just a moment ago, now down to around 500. If action isn't happening, it's favoring the Storm. Unfortunately for the Storm, I've never once seen this team shy away from action. If they just farmed the map and played a pacifist run, it feels like they would just pull ahead simply by presence on map. Instead, though, always stepping up for the fight, always willing to take the engagement. The Athenian Sages in Game 1 were able to win out handily in every single one of them. Both teams reset. Some power spikes are hit, though. Joshy, interesting for a Tiamat Doom Orb in the first slot.
Yeah, this is just like the old meta build, right? I don't think it's terrible, but I just think what
my man didn't read patch
what
notes.
Jangaru is building is what I would be building on Tiamat, 100%. I would go the Conduit and a Chronos Pendant. Maybe the Charon's Coin is what he's going for if you're feeling aggressive. delnyy is going to be jumped on. I'm going to keep talking, though, because I feel as if he just ults away or doesn't even have to. I just think there's no aggression there. At least Snoopy popped the ult just in case his team was worried. and they weren't. So looks like no more aggression to the right side of the map. Again, overhead kick, Mystic Rush, beads. Why are we in solo? I don't think there's ever going to net a kill. But if delnyy gets a little bit lower in mana, maybe a little bit aggression could pay off.
Plus inherent healing in the kit, as well as the Soul Eater, so if there's a wave there, you better believe delny's got 2 HP bars to play with. Ocean's pulled in, thinks he's tankier than he might be, dropped down to about half HP, and will probably have to go back to base as well, but not before he ticks over towards level 8, so nothing ventured, nothing gained. He'd ventured for the wave and gained a level at the cost of half of his HP bar. So Ocean's probably not too upset with the pacing of that one, maintains his blink, maintains his ultimate. Slight commitment from the Athenian Sages really only drops him down low. I'm keeping my eyes on Magicfeet. He's got rotation path onto Snoopy, who's losing the 1v1 up against InMyZen. Dame calling the rotation the all the way through. Should have Snoopy completely disengage himself, and both teams net wash. Not much to fight over on this side of the map.
This has got to be so annoying because InMyZen does have the lane presence here and has been, he's about 2 levels up every once in a while, then Snoopy will catch up. So I'd say a true level ahead, close to a level and a half. Magicfeet sees an opportunity to go for a kill, but Priv is always there. So I think that's why we're seeing so much presence shown to the solo lane. It's hard to find a gank when this Khepri is around. So even if it seems like impossible to find a kill opportunity, you'd rather fight in solo than, go for Snoopy and just get the scarabs rusting down. You're just not getting that value. So as long as there's some ward coverage here and you can keep your eyes on Priv, maybe we could see some action force in that duo lane, but Priv's just been so... not even on the Athena. On the Athena, he was able to quite literally globally ult to you. Now the Khepri has to just show presence, and he's been anywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, just, hey, is there a fight here? I'll stand nearby and make them wish they weren't fighting here. The Scarab's Blessing, such a versatile tool in that regard. You sound a lot like my ranked junglers. They're like, hey, I need help in duo lane. They're like, well, there's a Khepri over there, so maybe I just don't show up. And they don't, by the way, and I am getting owned over there. Privative stepping up to try and defend these oracles. Both of these teams taking a very relaxed pace in Game 2. Considering how long Game 1 went, I think we can very clearly state that early game wins you not the match. InMyZen at least able to pick up both oracles for himself, so the Athenian Sage's ability to look towards the Gold Fury mitigated a fair deal. And looking at some of these builds, both junglers going down the Katana tree both times. Stone Cutting Sword now finished for Magicfeet. Fenrir having so much lifesteal from Seething Howl maybe has the opportunity to look for solo objectives, namely Pyromancer. Not really Gold Fury anymore. That thing is just too strong. It's brawling. All right, I'm going to be real about it. If there are any devs listening, that thing's brawling. Let's dial it back.
No, the Gold Fury, the 2 things that I wouldn't want to solo at any point in the game as like a mage is the Gold Fury and the red buff. Both of those things.
Yo, red buff owns
Red
now.
buff swings. I get so far behind because my junglers don't rotate over to red buff to help me, and then I'm like, can you please? Like,
even if you have a lead, you can't really do it. Dame blocks the dash and immediately lines up the tether. Stun's good from Uzzy, and it's a rotation in from Magicfeet forces. Lord of the Afterlife defensively.
There's no
picks
Khepri
him up.
here.
Ragnarok's nice. You fought on this side of the map because of the lack of Khepri. Xibalba Storm strike first. delnyy, no ultimate available. Now, isolated ultimate was available, excuse me, but no longer. I'm future sighting it.
You knew he was about to ult out.
Taken away.
Yeah.
Xibalba Storm, 1-for-0 trade.
Yeah, and honestly, the one time that it was a good time to fight, not looking for delnyy, looking for Dame. Dame blinks in, looks to get aggressive in that lane. There's no Khepri on the other side of the team, but Priv makes it over to this Pyromancer. The Pyromancer's going to go down, but Jangaru could be in some trouble now.
Jangaru knocked up to the air. Now the Storm have time to set up their gank around him. Fortunately, Privative has made the rotation. Unfortunately for Privative, these guys know how to play around Scarab's Blessing. Just wait it out. Jangaru steps forward, puts out as much damage as he can, sinks out his entire kit, but eventually does fall down.
Yeah, if I'm Joshy there, I'd be so mad. He almost died just because Jangaru was like, well, I can't do anything, so I'm just going to use as much damage as possible. He's like, guys, please, help. And
get him off me!
Joshy's got a blink. Interesting. I wasn't sure if he was going to leave the base with it. Looks like he did. So we're going to see some blink Tiamat plays here. I'm curious what the blink is into, you know what I mean? Like, your blink Minotauring, your blink tornadoing.
Well, you're almost certainly blink quadrupedal stance, right? You're not blinking in like mage stance.
You do way more damage in the flying stance, so.
Yeah, so like you're in the flying stance, you throw out all your damage, they're running away, you're on the chase, jump forward, still not in range, jump forward, blink, uh-oh.
You better hope you haven't been touched by anyone or jumping onto anything because you're out of combat at that point, but hey, Joshy is a level up, so maybe we'll see the payoff. We'll see exactly what this is meant to do.
It's going to be what I said. I guarantee
No,
it.
I mean, I would love to see a Blink like knock up into the ult, then then you switch stances, and then you have a lot of DPS in that way. But if you're already in your quadrupedal stance, like where are you? You're not clearing wave like that. What'd you just go eat support buff? Like, was that your play?
You just ate red buff. You ate any buff. You're just in quadrupedal stance. Maybe he's trying to walk faster, get more legs. Leave him alone.
All right, well, we'll see if it works out.
So it's a Gold Fury attempt, or at least presence around it. Oceans blinks forward, connects the ultimate onto Dame, who is ulting over the wall defensively. Ragnarok picks up Privative, but Privative is a Khepri. Immediately turns it around into an Abduct, so it's Magicfeet dropped low. Xibalba Storm chose this fight, and maybe bit off more they can chew. Dame has worked his way back around. Joshy, no jump available, and this Osiris is so incredibly tanky, he could do no wrong. Still has decent value from the Mannequin Scepter as well. Privative forced the Scarab's Blessing himself as Jangaru picks up the first kill of the fight. Uzzy returns it on to Jangaru, and now it's Dame in some trouble. Good damage from InMyZen, but puts him out of position. delnyy able to shut him down. Oceans should have access to the passive, but does not have access to his team, so he'll go down after a couple more auto attacks.
Stole that.
He needs it, bro.
That was such a free kill for Snoopy. I mean, InMyZen is 2 levels up. You would have loved that, but it looks
Dude,
like
InMyZen's 2 levels up, so you know Snoopy's worthless. Priv's taking those every day of the week.
That's actually a good point. Snoopy's, you're 0-1, bro. You're garbage kid. Give me the last hit. I'm going to do more with it. I respect that, actually. So it looks like Priv will get credit for the kill, and the gold will do a little bit of a swing there because the Storm were ahead for a little bit, and then the rotation in. Uzzy back in lane in the right side where delnyy made that clutch rotation over. And Dame got really active in the back line there. Despite the fact that he died, he did force out a ton. Actually forced out the blink from Joshy. I didn't see too much value from it. It was more so just to I'll blink in on this target that we've already killed. But, it was used at least.
Yeah, so maybe slight value from Joshy and his blink. You don't look so convinced, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm sure we'll see.
I want it proven to me that it's good, and then I'll say, yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, you'll get an opportunity, all right. He's only had it for like 2 minutes. Give him a chance, man.
Jangaru used Aegis. I don't know.
Yeah, Jangaru did use Aegis, but Jangaru also died. So
that's true. Joshy didn't die.
That's right.
And he hasn't been under threat of dying. I mean, Dame tried, but oh my goodness, that's a lot of damage coming his way. Even with the Spirit Robe proc, is going to take a ton from Jangaru. This is what I was talking about. Already 2 deaths, so at least that has been corrected. If you're going to let the Persephone free cast, a lot of damage is going to be coming your way, but he has been free casting. Jangaru's been under a fair bit of fire this game.
Hasn't slowed down his farm too much. Chronos Pendant immediately into the Chiron's Coin and the Divine Ruin to tackle it afterward, whereas Joshy's still working on his 3rd tier item. It's been good farm from both of these teams. Once it resets to neutral, though, every time it's been Xibalba Storm reestablishing the lead for themselves, and this time no different. They get to the 4,400 mark a little bit earlier, 44,000 rather. Athenian Sages hot on their heels. With the Gold Fury down, Pyromancer spawning shortly. You got to think the fight's going to happen on the right side of the map. delnyy and Uzzy have been trading the lead back and forth, but I'd argue we've seen a little bit more from delnyy in some of these team fights. His rotation's a bit more impactful already, getting a good deal of damage mitigation available to him. It's going to be very, very hard to deal with for the Xibalba Storm. So I think the answer might be, and you can speak on this a bit more so, just have Oceans, put them to sleep and fight everybody else, or what's the goal? How do you deal with this Robin?
I mean, at this point, it could, putting him to sleep is one option, but I think more so Oceans is trying to CC either Jangaru or saying,
no, that's Privative.
Or I'm going to CC Priv and say, we're not going to let the Scarab's Blessing come through. So, that was a great call. For me, that Khepri looked like a Persephone there, so that's my bad. My eyesight just isn't the best, and I appreciate you helping me out there. Either way, I just think if you're wasting your CC on the Robin, I mean, you better be killing him, because Kumbha should be setting up for the squad and looking for the kills, and I don't think Robin should be your first kill in any engagement, given the way he's itemized.
So look elsewhere, ignore delnyy, or at least try and keep him away from your own backline is the goal for Xibalba Storm. Sage's goal a bit more simple as it's on the screen. Pyromancer pulled out. The Storm's showing some presence, but the Sages don't seem to care. Maybe they should have. Pyromancer stolen away, and Oceans working his way out of there, narrowly escapes the grasp of death. The Sages take a confident stance. Hey, this Pyromancer belongs to us. Simply incorrect. Meanwhile, the Storm keeping up their siege on the left-hand side. Zen never once left the lane, has now got a 2-level lead, and is putting some damage in that tier 2 tower.
Bro, what is Snoopy's build? This is like
It's ugly.
This is like season 6.
That's like season 4, bro.
Season
That's
4,
old.
even older than that. Yeah. When I see a rage, I look up and I see, is that a Mercury? And then if the answer is no, I go, ugh.
Should have been.
Yeah, I mean, you got no attack speed here. He's swinging pretty hard, but he's 3 levels down to Zen.
It's a good pull from Privative to stop the Mez from Oceans, but he still maintains the cooldown to slow down Dame. Forced to use the beads early, but continues his own chase. Team not so close by. Up down from the jungler should cost him his life, but he's lived a very long time. Joshy gets distracted, and the Xibalba Storm saying, hey, we kind of use like everything. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Athenian Sages, or maybe just Dame, happy that he makes it out of there alive. Wild though, right?
Yeah, well, delnyy went really hard on the Zen, and then that sort of split up the team fight a bit where they're like, wait, that Zen is like our shimmering ray of hope. He's 2-1, level 19. We should probably keep this Jing way alive. And then it was just a bit of a split engagement. I thought Dame was going to die before Priv even got close, and that didn't happen. So a good Scarab's Blessing to keep the jungler alive, and it will just be a net wash at that point. Oni Fury spawning in about 30 seconds. That's got to be the next target of aggression. If the Sages are pulling, they better make sure they have some confirm, and the Xibalba Storm probably feeling pretty confident about stealing that Pyromancer, and they're going to group up as well. They have the gold lead in hand, and, you know, given the XP does not look too far out, except for that duo lane. I don't know what Zen was doing. Like, I saw him just consistently pushing waves. Like, it just seems like he got so much free farm.
Yeah, he did. It was an early rotation from Snoopy towards that Pyromancer to try and secure it for themselves. Doesn't go well, and Zen just continue to farm up, which is why he's got the lead. Zen also benefiting from having just a standard Hunter build, means that he's probably dealing a bit more damage. Could be a damage advantage to Snoopy in that he's got more crit chance, at least on neutral objectives. When nothing's dodging, it's just about raw DPS, and he might just have it. Privative has got some action coming his way. Magicfeet decided that he actually didn't want that smoke, so decided to leave himself. Reset back to neutral from both of these teams. Xibalba Storm pushed out. The Athenian Sages kind of sheepdogging him and pushing him into one corner. It's Magicfeet now on the rotation around. Athenian Sages peek around the corner. Hey, 3 of us here. Don't walk up. Magicfeet says, thank you for the heads up, and walks himself out of there. Lots of poking and prodding. Finally separated by Oceans. Blink in, connects the epic uppercut onto Snoopy. But, like, no follow-up again, so, like, who cares? Easy for him to disengage. The Xibalba Storm now trying to retreat as they've been left alone, split up by their own decision-making. Uzzy in the back line, able to work his way all the way around. Ocean's buying time for the rest of his team to disengage. This is a weird fight.
Just go for Oni Fury, man. What is this? I mean, I understand the engage, and then after the fact, you won that fight so handily. The Xibalba Storm have to retreat, and finally now the Sages will pull. But if they go for Oni Fury here, the Storm just goes for Fire Giant, obviously. So that's what we're witnessing currently. But it doesn't look like the Storm want to commit. They're going to stand there and watch instead. But half of the Sages are coming, so maybe delnyy, yeah, they're going to go for the fight after the fact. The Oni Fury goes down, but the Fire Giant hasn't even been pulled yet.
Oceans connects the groggy strike, but that's Privative. He's pretty tanky, and he's got Scarab's Blessing. We'll revive him. Nobody nearby for the follow-up means that Privative will eventually fall down, but trading support for a Fury, you're probably not feeling so bad about that. It's what the Storm can do with this death timer. 30 seconds on Privative's respawn. Tier 1 tower already weakened and knocked out. Xibalba Storm set up their ambush and hit pay dirt, but what can they do now?
They better head towards something, given the fact that the Oni Fury went down. Either defend these Oni Fury minions, which you probably have to do. It's not even like a question. You got to go for those right away. So Uzzy will take right lane. Looks like that tier 1 tower could be in some trouble, but Zen's on the way with some help from Joshy, so that wave should be done as well. And given that fact, Priv's going to be up in 3 seconds, so I don't think they're going to do too much after the fact. It was just we'll bait you in a Fire Giant, we'll kill Priv, we lose Oni Fury, and that's pretty much the end of it. The gold lead's still in favor of the Storm, but not so outlandish, and Snoopy was able to catch up at least XP-wise a little bit closer to that level 20 point. No stacks on Rage, so when Uzzy got to the backline, he was kind of just slapping with a wet noodle. Eventually, Snoopy will be able to do damage. He just hasn't really hit that point yet. Silver Branch Bow has been finished up, and I imagine, given the build, you still want Death's Embrace. That's not going to be a Death's Temper, so
You got to get like Deathbringer too.
no, for sure. I'm not seeing the value. Snoopy will show me though, I'm sure. Give him like 10 or 15 minutes. He'll show me why he built Rage.
Yeah, he already hits super hard from branching Bola, so You don't really need to concern yourself with attack speed because each one of your autos are hitting so hard.
That math doesn't
Deathbringer
check out.
synergizes really well, maybe. I don't know. I'm a chair one. What do I know about the game? Pyromancer pulled by Xibalba Storm and taken. Oceans dropped low. Here's the chase down. Athenian Sages would love to connect with this Kumbhakarna. Dame ults in. Does not connect, instead loses his life, just knock Oceans into the sleepy stance, and the Xibalba Storm rally around their support and now chase out the Athenian Sages. Privative, forced to use those beads, does not have Scarab's Blessing, so an easy kill for InMyZen. Snoopy throwing out auto attacks from a range, and it is a 4-for-0 trade. Xibalba Storm just waiting and biding their time for their one opportunity, take it, and now get the Fire Giant as well.
Yeah, Priv did have the Scarab's Blessing there towards the end. Maybe it was just out of range, then couldn't find the time to use it on himself. Either way, it was just going to be a stall, and now Fire Giant goes down for the Storm. I mean, just so much used to try and kill Oceans, and still at the Sleepy Time
Crazy
passive.
commitment.
Yeah, I mean, Dame missed the ult, was able to finally get him down, and then delnyy was like, I'm going to die for the possible passive kill onto Oceans.
They both ulted Oceans. delnyy ulted first, whiffed.
Yeah, they
Dame
both missed.
ulted, whiffed. They're like, well, we got to kill him. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, Dame got him into the passive, then delny's like, I will not let your death be in vain. I will auto him 3 times and then also die, so.
He put me to sleep, guys. I wasn't ready.
And Zen just gets credit for all the kills, so 5-1 is the Jing way.
Zen's wishing he had rage.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be getting some sick value, but it's just not worth it on Jing way, because you're just overcapping at that point. Wait, he's not going Deathbringer? He's just going Kins?
My man's going Kins.
Maybe he'll sell Xibalba for Deathbringer.
Look, Deathbringer's like bad now, right? It used to be 100% more damage on crit, then it became 50%, now we're down to 25%. Like, what's the point?
I mean, like 25% more damage on crits, that's the point.
Well, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, hold up.
Hold on.
Wait, and Venom Deathbringer?
Okay, and then they're doing less damage to me, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if Snoopy even cares about that item.
Snoopy's not going to get a Deathbringer anytime soon, right?
I mean, yeah, he's got to go for it, though. He's got rage, man.
Are you going Deathbringer first, or are you finishing up your
No,
Death's
I'm certainly
Toll?
finishing the Death's Embrace, because Death's Temper used to get 0 value out. I don't see any Shoguns being built, even though I think it would be pretty sick on Dame. Yeah, you're getting no value out of the Silver Branch, even with Death's Temper, so it's got to be Death's Embrace. You got to be swinging, you're going to be healing a fair bit. Not too much anti-heal to deal with, just the Divine Ruin on the opposition, so you can get some value there.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on Snoopy's build and how that one rounds out. InMyZen does have the Death's Embrace finished up. Some starter items starting to get upgraded on the side of Xibalba Storm. Relics upgraded as well. And now we can start evaluating what this siege is going to look like. Fire Giant on all 5 members of the Storm. Only 1 tower still standing. How does their siege compare to the defense capacity of the Sages draft?
Well, given the fact that the Sages all have beats up except for Priv, and I don't think Priv's going to step up for the next 20 seconds, it's not going to be easy. You're essentially just trying to CC a target and let InMyZen auto attack them. Joshy's going to bring a fair amount of poke. Maybe Joshy blinks in. Maybe that's the engage, man. He blinks
Oh my god,
in,
I forgot he
Minotaurs.
had that.
Yeah, well, I forgot he had it too because he's 2-0. There's been no presence. You know, Dame goes to the back line, but he's more focused on Ocean, so I don't think that the Tiamat's going to be the biggest issue. Or, I mean, is the biggest issue, but isn't going to be looked at that much. And still, Zen is doing so much damage as well. So you got to watch out for the carries. And it looks like, forget that tier 2 tower. This left side Phoenix is the target.
And it's exposed, dropped down to 50%. Darkest of Nights from Snoopy. Everybody blind, gotta let him know in the comms. Now Magicfeet on the retreat, as is Zen. Ocean's left to his own devices, will likely fall down as long as Dame can keep up his separation. Good Scarab's Blessing, should keep him out. But Oceans tries to step back forward, make sure that kill goes their way. Uzzy will eventually shut him down and has the large flank. Could line up some good CC here for his team. Walks into the Phoenix. Weakened, by the way. Only a couple auto attacks needed to take out the bird, but nobody able to connect it. Uzzy, chase down. Plants versus Zombies, puts them down. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Dame for Uzzy and Oceans. And the left side, Phoenix somehow survives. InMyZen would like to say the same about himself. Gets behind the trebuchet.
That's 3 stacks, baby.
That don't help. Snoopy now, he's getting active. He's getting some value.
Magicfeet's getting the Phoenix, though. He's got the Bumba's hammer.
He's got
and
it.
will go down, but how's he going to get out? Is he going to be able to juke Jangaru? He's got the cooldown. Jangaru's going to have the bone rush in. That's going to be it. I don't think there's too much chase down here. He's going to try and turn this, though, because the ult is still available?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's just dead there. Pretty simple play from Jangaru. Hey, my ult's up. I don't imagine there's going to be a massive fight in the next, I don't know, 40 seconds, whatever the cooldown of Death's Grasp is. So I'll just go ahead and use it here.
I didn't know that he had his ult back up at that point. Yeah, there's no reason Magicfeet ever lives, but I got the left side Phoenix at the very least, so.
No, I think that's value. Well, I mean, what do you think? I think it's value.
I think, yeah, I think he was expecting to die.
You've got to be getting that.
Yeah, and then after that point, it's like, okay, at least, you know, we got the Phoenix, and you lose Primal Fury, but you still have, there's no global presence here, so someone has to commit their body to defending left side minions. You could be setting yourself up for a free Enhanced Fire Giant with that play. So, I think Magicfeet did the right thing. My only issue, however, is that Deathbringer's online, 3 stacks on Rage. Snoopy did not upgrade that death toll.
And, and you wanted him to upgrade it,
No.
to be certain, right? Like,
Well-
you said that. Do we have, like, a clip, maybe?
Yeah, can we, do we have like a
I don't think we have that, like,
No.
ability here.
Yeah, there's no camera on me. It's just my voice.
Well, there is a camera on you.
But it's like not rolling, is it? We don't have
Yeah, bro.
to at the moment?
Yeah.
Man. All right, well.
They don't turn them off.
Okay, I didn't know.
How long you been working here, homie?
Like 3 months?
Oh, okay, that's not so bad. No,
Yeah.
that's on me. I thought you've been here longer. You're just a good fit for the team.
Okay. We're going to see some big numbers coming from Snoopy, though. This build's paying off. 900, 1,000, 1,000.
Athenian Sages take the Pyromancer, but a good initiation from Jangaru locks down a couple. Snoopy takes out a priority target in InMyZen, and Athenian Sages now can continue their siege. We've seen this before. Dame and delnyy joining up in the backline dive. This time, though, Dame does get the reset from Scarab's Blessing. It's an early Ragnarok from Magicfeet, or late rather. Early in that he doesn't pick anybody up. Late in that his team's already dead.
You think Joshy wanted an Aegis there?
Yeah, Joshy, I mean, well, he probably is. He's not saying, I wish I had Aegis. He's saying, man, I should have blinked a little bit sooner. You know, Joshy's not one to backpedal on his own decisions. Fire Giant Enhanced should go to the Athenian Sages. But Magicfeet does what Magicfeet does, and that's taking down Phoenixes. Not certain if he's got enough time to do it, though.
No, he's going to die for it. He's got Hydras, he's got Bumbas, just, yeah. No, what are you jumping out for? Commit! You're going to get chased down. That's an Osiris.
Well, Osiris has to connect the sickle first, and
The team's
whiffs
on the way.
that one.
The team
Oceans
is on
and
the
Uzzy
way.
here. I'm not sure they can kill Dame, but they can certainly stop the... Nope, Magicfeet got overactive, steps back up. Grasp of Death connects. He's just stuck. Good peel from Uzzy and Oceans to break the ultimate. Athenian Sages, they may have let Magicfeet slip away, but they took away Fenrir's beads. They forced rotation from Oceans and Uzzy, so they're not able to reset themselves for the defense. Enhanced Fire Giant on all 5. It's not as if the Athenian Sages like took a detour. They were going that direction either way. So mid-tier 1 tower falls down, and a little bit of a split push here. Some presence towards the center of the map, Snoopy on the left. The whole team starting to work their way over. Gotta think this tier 2 probably not gonna be a defense point for the Storm, considering they're just not here yet.
Okay, so Zen did sell the Xibalba, but it wasn't for Deathbringer. He sold it for Dominance.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
guessing he's just getting consistently dove by delnyy. I have seen it a few times now, where just delnyy gets to the backline and Zen can do nothing, and with the Darkest of Nights pop, that should be a free left side Phoenix.
Left side Phoenix dropped low, but still has a sliver of HP. One auto attack is all it's gonna take, and it will go down. Dame commits himself for it and gets the ultimate from Privative. Can the Sages disengage? Magicfeet goes in with the ultimate, chomps air thrice, and then resets himself. It's Snoopy with the first kill. This team fight. InMyZen falls down, and Snoopy connects the slow onto 3. delny's already in the back line. Xibalba Storm on the back foot. Oceans in the sleepy stance. Cancel that in a hearse. That's 3 dead. Magicfeet and Uzzy got to defend on their own against the 5 strong of the Athenian Sages. Titan's not taking a whole lot of damage. delnyy dropped to low HP. Magicfeet dropped to no HP. Triple kill over to delnyy, and Snoopy's just padding the damage. If you were wondering earlier why he went for this build,
I see it.
this is why.
Yeah, I see the top damage. I see the crits flying through. Snoopy has proven me, and I'm a Rage believer now. Everyone hop on this wave as Uzzy is trying desperately to not give another kill, but he will not. And the Sages are going to take this one 2-0.
That's a quick turnaround for the Athenian Sages. I thought for certain once the Xibalba Storm had got a couple Fire Giants for themselves, the Sieges are starting to look good. That left side Phoenix very nearly gets knocked out on the initial siege, but a slow group up kind of slows down the entirety of this match, and the Sages are not a squad that you're allowed to make multiple mistakes against, and they punish you for it adeptly.
Yeah, I would say the new look at the Sages, mostly Jangaru now in mid and Dame added to the jungle. I'm not going to say that Jangaru wasn't good in the jungle, but he's looking real solid in mid.
Agreed.
Given how these 2 games went. And Also the fact of the Snoopy Rage, once it got stacked, the game was over. I mean, like, we called it right from conception. We saw this build look sick, you know, call back to season 4.
Like, he stacked it on, like, the last wipe, so, like, the game was over.
We knew. Right when we saw Rage being built, we were like, this game's on a timer. Stack that Rage, GG. That's what I said anyways. Play back. I'm sure it was
Well, yeah, the camera was off. You know that. There's no way they're playing that back, man. So you're going to have to take his word for it. The Athenian Sages do look good in this best-of-3 set and find themselves a win in the North American SCC. And it was a convincing one. Well, game 1, a bit more convincing, I'd argue, even though it does go a bit longer. Game 2 was a game of backs and forths. Early objectives go to the Sages, but the Storm showing presence around these team fights. Still were able to keep the game at least close to even. But in some of these later game engagements, especially around these Phoenix Sieges and defenses, it just felt like the Sages had a much clearer goal in mind, and they execute on it very well.
Yeah, it just seemed like they were. You know, I'm joking about the Rage, obviously, but it seemed like they were playing stall game.
You don't think it's sick?
No, I do think the Rage ended up paying off. I do think Wind Demon's also sick, but hey, you were critting a lot of auto attacks there, so there you go. However, it did seem like they were confident in their late game, and they were sort of playing as such. Their defenses underneath these Phoenixes were always top tier. And then also baiting back the Storm here. This is where the Flowers were able to kill Uzzy. Magicfeet comes back and gets that Phoenix, of course, but you know, one Phoenix for a confident squad where you're just able to win that 5v5. I'll take that trade.
5, 2, and 7 for Jangaru. 12 affected kills and only 2 deaths for his efforts. 5, 2, and 9. Snoopy doing a little bit better, but he's been doing it for a little bit longer as well. Just great performances from the Sages, top to bottom. Dame maybe doesn't have the best slash line, but he did his job of separating the team fights once Dame and delnyy were working together. It just felt like the Storm had to respect that dive, the survivability of those two, as well as just enough damage output that you can't ignore them wholly, which is why I had hypothesized during that game, just like put them to sleep, you know, like go somewhere else, fight elsewhere. But it was always the initiation from Oceans, a blink in, epic uppercut. He finds a priority target, but his team's got like 2 warriors on them at their own back camp, so there really wasn't much follow-up there. Just congratulations to the Sages again. You got to keep your eyes on this team.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think because of the way that those warriors, those tanks were diving the backline, as you highlighted, Zen was pretty much forced into that different style of build with all the penetration build. He was not able to match what the opposition was doing. I mean, Snoopy was critting for 1,000 on pretty much everyone, whereas Zen was like, this guy's got so many mitigations. I need dominance and Silver Branch. It sort of slows your DPS against the squishies.
Don't worry, Smite junkies, we've got plenty more Smite action to bring you today. Well, plenty more is one more set. Eldritch Hounds up against the Yomi Tanuki. You got some big names in that set, some squads that have made some really massive strides in recent months. The Eldritch Hounds, of course, a team that is synonymous with the North American SCC, a squad that has seen a whole lot of success and just about 0 failures. 3-0, top of the standings. We'll see whether or not the Yomi Tanuki can play spoiler to the perfect season for the Eldritch Hounds, because on paper, it's a bit of a lopsided matchup. First seed versus 5th.
Yeah, and the fact that the Tanuki keep trying different roster changes, you know,
dude, it's a different team every week.
That's what I'm saying. I'm assuming it's going to be the same as far as our information shows. So, you know, will the same team be able to make those adaptations to finally take a loss off the Eldritch Hounds? It's not going to be easy.
No, it won't be, and we'll find out whether or not they are capable of doing it, which is a hard task, right after this break.
And